you have to hold the cup up to your ear and talk into the mouthpiece. Now people have you get anything, any period of time, technology gets small. So these data centers that are starting out in the size of what might be an Amazon warehouse are probably going to be the size of a condominium in the future. Or we're acting like, oh my God, if we have these things, it's going to destroy our communities. You know, they were building, like, the town I live in is not very big. If they said, you know, in the industrial area, there's a vacant warehouse, we're going to turn it into a data center. I'm like, all right, cool, great. That's fine. Wait, what about all the power it takes and all the water it uses? It doesn't use as much water as everybody would like to think it does. And as long as they're paying the electric bill, I don't see what the problem is. As long as nobody's asking for a free ride here or to just push off responsibility to the community, I don't see what the big deal is. But, you know, that's just one opinion. Let's see. Okay, so are we having this call or not? Should I move on? Our phone is busy. I didn't even know we had busy phones anymore. All right. Let's see. Well, we played all the audio. We played it again. There are people joining us for the first time. I did send myself some articles. I didn't just slack over the weekend. I did enjoy myself, but I didn't slack over the weekend. The Team America player that because Americans are sick and tired of people, you know, whose last names they can't pronounce, telling them that their city, you know, their country is not good. Mamdani is a joke. But you know what? They voted for him, and you get what you asked for. You get what you voted for. So enjoy it, New Yorkers. Hopefully, the rest of the states in the union can use his clownness to get better people in office during these midterms. Mr. Tough Guy says his wife's getting rolled around after having a monthly Islamic train ran on her to gain the hall passes. Mamdani needs to break the laws of Islam to continue to take over the USA. Yeah. I mean, it's very telling, isn't it? Mamdani, his, you know, rise to power is not surprising to me. It didn't shock me at all. Because when we already have morons like AOC, who, by the way, is running for president. AOC is going to run for president. Make no mistake about it. That's happening. Now we have the Erica Kirk story. Charlie Candace owns Erica Kirk. Dave Chappelle roasting CNN. We've got quite a few stories left. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We've got about 5,000 wonderful people watching on Rumble right now. If you're watching on Rumble and you enjoy the show, remember to click through to my name and follow the channel. It takes just a second. I know a lot of people just watch when we're on the homepage. We won't always be on the homepage, so, you know, make sure you do that. And then in every way, shape, or form, one of the few sites out there that continues to support free speech. We've got a story. I don't know if I'm going to get to it today based on how much time we have. But we have a story on how the UK government is trying to control the YouTube algorithm. Now, this isn't exactly surprising. You know, it isn't exactly surprising. The United States tried to do this during COVID. The United States tried to, you know, I mean, they did. They didn't try. They successfully
got basically every social media website to come together and stop people from having opinions that may be different from the mainstream one. I'm not even saying that, every person's opinion during COVID was right, but I am saying that the U.S. government made sure that everyone couldn't have opinions. It's crazy to me. And Rumble stood against that. Rumble pushed back when Brazil tried to censor them, and when France tried to censor them, and I'm sure they will push back if the UK tries to as well. You have a Rumble Premium discount code. Well, if you sign up on my page, I know I get credit for it, and I think they're doing $10 off right now.
The fuck?
But I'm not totally sure. You could try the quartering one word and see if it works. I used to have one for 10% off. Let's see here. It's finally happening. Oh yeah, the time I'm watching in real time the Tyler Robinson trial too, because this is a preliminary hearing going on right now, and we're seeing all the evidence that's being provided by the prosecution. I'm sure Candace Owens is going to have a really bad day. Let's see. Okay, well, let's get to this next topic, huh? All right. Today marks.
Let me see if the locals still.
Absolutely outstanding, and literally bursting full of energy, bursting full of color and American excellence all throughout the skies and the interwebs, wherever it is you were watching it and enjoying it. An amazing show here in DC and a ton of fun. And we're still vibing a little bit over here. I hope you're doing the same, because we got another 250 years at least just starting, now kicking off. And so we've got some business to attend to today. We're happy to be back into the swing of things. We've also got a little bit of a powwow that we're going to have with Andrew Branca in about 2 hours from now. So if you care to join us, we're going to talk about that Walmart shooting that took place. There was a woman who came out of her car after an altercation about a parking space, shot and killed another man, capturing a lot of attention. So we'll be doing that in about 2 hours, 12 noon Eastern time. We're going to go over to the Branca's channel for that one. Got to meet him over this past week, celebrating America. Very nice guy. And we're excited to hang out and, talk some criminal law. It'll be fun. So we're going to be doing that in a little bit. And then we've also got today the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing. And my understanding is Nick Rekieta is going to be covering that extensively. And he'll be kicking that off. I think he's traveling back today. And I know that Andrea Burkhardt is also covering that. I don't know that we'll cover that live, but I think we may just want to recap it, kind of go through things, recap it, hit all the highlights. Obviously a big deal. We want to cover that story at length, but that's happening today. We've also got more updates. We got some CIA news. We got some Mitch McConnell news. And Trump, I think, just wrapped up in the Oval Office. They announced the Trump accounts are now official. They rang the bell. And so if you've got a little one, you don't need to have a newborn, right? It's not like start now with only new babies moving forward. But if you've got a kid, you can start raising some serious cash moolah for that little critter of yours. And so we've got some updates today. Let's take a look at what the president is up to. Interestingly, we don't have a Monday schedule. Oh, gosh. Why does that do that sometimes? So here we've got, that's one story that we're going to talk about, but we've got, let's do this, then let's do this again, bum. Okay, here we go. You can see we've got the presidential schedule up, but it's for tomorrow, on Tuesday. We don't have anything actually on Monday, so it goes over from Sunday. And yesterday the president was in D.C., and not much other activity yesterday on the Sunday. They skipped over on Monday, and then maybe that's because this week he's heading over and hanging out with NATO. And actually, I think that's happening here. So NATO is coming in tomorrow night. We're going to have a NATO leaders social dinner. Also, hanging out with the Republic of Turkey tomorrow. And that's going to be very interesting, right over there in the Middle East. And then on Wednesday, we've got the Arab Republic. Oh, Zelensky's coming over on Wednesday at 10:30 for a bilateral meeting with Zelensky. NATO working session, all of that restricted. We've got an official welcome and a NATO family photo on Wednesday. So lots of NATO activity here during the week this week. And it looks like they're going to be here. So Oval Office is where a lot of this will be taking place. We've got another greeting with the National Border Patrol Council coming up on Wednesday. So that should be very interesting to see what NATO has to say. We've also got more updates on the Trump account. So here was what happened just a little bit ago in case you missed it. Here's Trump ringing the bell on the stock exchange with a bunch of youth of America, the youngins out there, all excited about getting some investment cash, you know? What a nice idea. And we're excited about that because we've got a baby coming in like T-minus 20-something days. She's going to be here very soon. Here's the president. And another technical situation happening here. It's one of those Monday mornings. It's the fireworks. Your boy's still recovering from the fireworks. But let's see. All right, let me make sure we got this thing situated over here and get our sound connected appropriately. We're good. There it is. Good reading, Mr. President. All right, so that happened just a couple of moments ago before we kicked off, and then Trump gave a speech about this, and he said, if you haven't done it, go to trumpaccounts.gov. Get your kids to sign up for a free investment savings account. And apparently, I've seen a lot of people talking about how easy it is. You just go there, click a couple buttons, and boom. I think like the Dells, Michael Dell and his family, and Ray Dalio and some others. I think SpaceX is going to be contributing some stock and some cash money to this, and you get like $1,000 right out of the gate. Sign up, boom. Here's $1,000. It's not bad. Pretty good. And I think that's coming from these guys right here. That's Michael Dell and his wife back there, and Ted Cruz is in the room, and here's what Trump had to say.
But if parents have not done so already, and they are doing so in record numbers, they should go right away to trumpaccounts.gov and sign their child up for a free investment savings account. And again, a lot of people are people that are uninvolved in terms of if they don't have the children, but or their children are older, but they're putting millions and millions of dollars into the accounts of poor children, financially poor children, and the parents can't even believe what's happening. So it's an amazing thing. But parents, loved ones, churches, and generous companies and individuals will be able to contribute funds to these accounts to grow throughout the child's life. And again, if we have a good market like we do now, they're going to become actually very rich. They'll have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Think of that. But if parents...
That's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. And get people thinking about having a stake in the system so that we don't have communists coming out 10 to 20 years from now. Come out and say, oh, wow, money. I've got, enough cash. My parents invested something. I can go buy a house or I can pay for college, which may not be a good investment at the time. But you get the point. You'll have some capital that you can use for some good things. Here's a little bit more of the speech.
Truly historic weekend celebrating the 250th anniversary of America. Today, we're thrilled to officially launch the Trump accounts. And we had some beautiful people and speeches and tremendous crowds. We had the biggest crowd anyone's ever seen, that unfortunately lightning caused it to leave. And everybody said, well, we'll do it another time. When I heard that, I said, no, we won't. Everybody had left. I said, we're not doing it another time. We're doing it on the 4th of July. And we actually started the speech on the 4th of July. We had to wait a little while, like a couple of hours, let the lightning pass. And everyone had left. And we came back, and they had 150,000 people came back from. They took their car. They're going back home to Texas. They turned their car around and came back. You wouldn't believe 150. I think the 150 was more impressive than the 425 or whatever it was. It was pretty amazing. And Mount Rushmore, likewise, was so incredible. So people love our country. Our country is doing incredibly well. Strongest military in the world has been displayed with Venezuela, who are getting along with fantastically now. We've taken hundreds of billions of dollars of oil and given them hundreds of billions. They have more money than they've ever made. And we're doing very well. Paid for the war many times over. And then Iran, we're doing actually equally as well. We're just not getting the kind of coverage that we should.
Yeah, and I think Trump is live, actually right now. So the news cut away from it, and then now they're back on it. Let's see where we're at. I think this is live.
We're going to make a deal, or we're going to finish the job. Okay? And it won't be tough to finish the job. Rather make a deal, because I don't want to affect 91 million people. We can knock down their bridges in 1 hour. We can knock out their energy supply, all of those big plants that they built, big, beautiful, modern plants that had a lot of money. They don't have any money now. We haven't given them any money. But we can knock out their electricity and power generating plants in, I would say, a small part of an afternoon. Every plant will be gone. And they know that. They know that. Please. Daniel, go ahead, please. Go ahead, please. Don't right behind you. You know why? He's a friendly voice. Go ahead.
I want to thank you first and foremost for the
You see? That's my vote. Exactly, Gregory.
So,
Good. Thank you.
that's all their niche voters. A lot of these kids are 18 who look at the Trump accounts and they see hundreds of thousands of dollars. What lesson do you hope they'll walk away from? And think about you regarding this program. Do you think this will go down as one of the signature policy achievements?
I hope so. I think it will. I really believe it's going to be one. I think we've done a lot of great things to the top. It's going to teach children to be entrepreneurial.
Yep.
As opposed to the threat of communism
Yep.
that you're seeing a lot. This is not social democrats, by the way. That's a beautiful. We're social democrats, they say. They're not social. They're communists.
Right.
They want to destroy our country. We're not going to let that happen. But this helps, even from the parent standpoint. They see their child getting richer and richer as the market goes up. If it goes down, they don't lose anything. They make money. They have money. But if it goes up, they can become actually rich. And the parents are going to be watching. We're all going to be watching. And we're part of a very big and very beautiful game. It's going to bring them into the mainstream. It's going to bring them into recognizing, like Michael Dell. I said, how the hell did you start this thing? What he built is incredible. Now his product is great. But as he said, he made them, I guess, laptops. He made a better laptop on his bed in a dorm than they sold in the stores. So he started selling them, I guess, probably during college. I don't know where the hell you started selling them, but you sold a lot of them. And it just cascaded. And then his greatest deal was he met Susan, and she probably guided him beautifully. That was probably his most important thing. And they have great children.
Fuck me, man.
But story. Think of it. They gave $6,250,000,000. And there's a rumor it's giving more. I don't know if it's true. I'm not holding them. It's hard to say, hey, how about doubling up, right? But think of that. Ed started with no money. He had a great brain, which is, that's better than money, I think. But it's like an amazing story, and that can happen with other people. Maybe not to that extent, but it's like an amazing story, and that can happen with other people. Maybe not to that extent. Maybe there would be a few to
It's
that
down to
extent,
335
to
here.
that extent. But that can happen with some of the people here. Some children living in poverty. It can happen, and now they have a real chance. It's a big thing. It's a big thing. Because you're asking me about the whole soccer thing? So, yeah, I did. I spoke to Johnny, who's highly respected, who's produced the most successful World Cup in history by, they say, 4 times. This isn't just a success. I actually said, Johnny, we've got all these games. Each one is turning out to be a Super Bowl. And we have all these games. When you think of it, every game is like a Super Bowl. Yes, I watched last night. What a game that was with Mexico, England. I mean, 2 countries. I don't know the players, although I think Kane is a great player. See, I played golf with him, and I like him a lot. He's a good golfer. But he's really great. But I watched, and no reason for me to watch, and you couldn't take your eyes off the game. Because I said, Johnny, you have all these games because they added games. In a country where really it's not our main sport, to put it mildly. And this has been 4 times more successful. He told me last night the numbers are 4 times greater. They think 50 or 60 million people are going to be watching the game tonight. This is getting to be Super Bowl numbers.
Wow.
But you have a game tonight, and they think they're projecting a minimum of 50 million people watching a game. We call it soccer. It's called football, I guess, but we can't really call it football because it gets there's a little confusion. So yeah, we call it soccer. We're the only ones that do that, but we have football, and football's great. But I've never seen anything like it. So I saw the play, and I'm a person that loves sports, was a good athlete, and I understand sports really well. And that wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was 2 guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody else's foot when you're going, no, these were 2 great athletes that got tangled up. And this referee, who is a little bit suspect,
Hates America.
if you check his past, I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. If you'd like, I'll provide you with the past. He made a call that nobody could believe. Even people on the other side, they say, "Oh, we got lucky. Wow, and it's very interesting. They say they don't show them in slow motion, and I never realized that. I never heard of that before. But they're not allowed to review in slow motion because it's so different. Because you'll take one little quarter of a second, and you'll see that a hand is touching a neck, or you see something. Whereas when you see it in fast motion, it will look like 2 guys collided, which is really what happened. They got sort of entangled. He didn't do anything wrong, and he's our best player or one of our best players. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. And I said, boy, that's a big, if it happened to another player, it would have been unfair. But would they take your best player or just about? They have some great players, but that's, it's one thing to penalize somebody for the game. But how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man. Level of respect has gone up tenfold, and he was good before this started. But he really pushed it, got them to, but it was I got it. It was very simple. And if the progression was normal, I would have been retired now. The Democrats are saying, man, we should have just let him have it. We would have had him gone. But I said, the saddest thing is got the Olympics, got the World Cup. I tried to play 250 years too, but that didn't work. They said, that one is what it is. No, I tried, but it didn't work. So, by that time, I felt at least the beauty about what I I got that myself. We gave a little piece to Canada, gave a little piece to Mexico. I got that myself. And a lot of people helped, like that man right there, Kevin. A lot of people, you know that. We worked hard on that. And we got it. But what we didn't know is how successful it was going to be. I didn't know. I said, Johnny, is anyone going to show up? Because, we're not really. I think soccer is doing much better, but I couldn't imagine. If you would have said to any very smart of the people like this, that
How was your Sunday?
Doing now would be happening. They've never seen anything like it. Think of it. Take the most successful Olympics, the most successful FIFA, and you look at what's happened. You look at the numbers for this in the United States, just compared to FIFA, and it's numerous times more. It's not like 10% more, 2% more, 5% more, which is more expected. It's like 4 times more successful than anything they've ever done. In fact, I said to Johnny, let's do it again next time. And he said, that would be hard. I said, no, you do it again. But at the same time, you give it to somebody else for the next one. I don't know. It's a little crazy idea. But all I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was 2 great athletes that crashed into each other and got entangled. That was not a guy punching somebody in the face or anything that, would be different. And I think it's a terrible, if they wouldn't allow, a top player, maybe the best, maybe among the best players on the team to play, I think it would have had a big stain. And I related just that feel. I didn't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do, but and I don't believe he made the decision. I think it was a committee that made the decision, and they made the right decision because number one, it wasn't a foul, and you want to see a game with your best players. You don't want to say, "How would you feel if I took, we take Messi out? He ran into somebody, or we took Ronaldo. Ronaldo, you bumped into somebody. We're going to take you out of a game. He's great. Well, Harry Kane, we're going to take you out of the game, Harry, because you happen to hit somebody a little bit harder than you can't do that. If you would have taken him out, I think it would have really stained this incredible champion. We got to have our best players, and Belgium's got a great team, by the way. We got to have our best players, and they have to have their best. And if we win or we lose, it's fair. Otherwise, let's say we lost him and we lose the game. It would be a terrible thing. So I think they made a really brilliant decision. I think the referee's call was horrible. And nobody talks about that. They talk about the red card like it's fine. Nobody talks. The referee's decision to red card. I didn't know what the hell a red card was. When I found out, I said, you got to be kidding. This guy just hands up. Okay, your best player is not going to play next week or in the next game. No. I said, wow, that's a lot of power. That's terrible. But then I looked at his past, and
he's a communist.
It wasn't so great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Trump card.
The Belgian Prime Minister before the game.
I didn't think of it, but I would. He's a good man. I will tell you this. The people in Belgium.
Yeah, it is. It was yesterday, too. I cut the grass yesterday. It was a long day. I got a lot of grass to cut.
A different feeling. You can't do that. And I'm very glad. All I did was ask for a review. I didn't say you have to do this. This man is a smart, tough man. Johnny Infantino. He's a smart, tough man. And his stock has gone through the roof because what the job he's done has been great. And I feel we have to have all the best players on the field. You can't take the best Yeah, please.
So I think I'm just setting up a desktop here. Yeah, I'm going to Defiance right now. Desktop wherever I have to set the stream. So.
Well, I'm a big crypto. I became a big crypto guy only for one reason. If we don't have it, China's going to have it, and they would like to have it. But now they're not even trying that hard because we've taken over crypto. But I'm afraid I wasn't initially. I didn't know much about it. But for some of my first term, I wasn't much involved. But I'd watch it, and I watched it grow, and it's a huge industry. And I got involved in a little bit for politics, because I realized that a lot of people love crypto. And even me as a businessman, I'd see a lot of money starting to come in with Bitcoin and the different forms. And I said, this thing's got a lot of life. And then I hear China was going to make a heavy move on it, just like they do for AI. By the way, we're leading China substantially in AI, by substantial. And one of the reasons is when they build these big plants, I allow them to build their electric generating units, whether they use nuclear or oil and gas, whatever they want to use, they can use. Except wind, we don't allow wind. Wind is terrible. It just doesn't work. It's too expensive, no good, bad for the environment. But and they're building their own plants for some of the greatest electric producing plants that you've ever seen. I mean, they're teaching the companies that produce electricity, they're teaching them how to do a plant. So that was my decision. That was my idea, because we have an old grid. It's tired.
Plus the title of the stream says it.
And now we're actually taking the excess energy.
I'm just teasing you,
we
bud.
need more than double the energy. If you take all of the electric that we have now, you need more than double it to power that industry, which is so shocking. When I first heard that, I said, no, you mean like a little. I couldn't believe that, Jeff. I heard
you got to build, baby.
Double. So all the electric we make for everything to power that one industry. With that being said,
hey, Jesse Logan, industry. Thanks for the follow on Rumble.
It's going to be for good. I mean,
go ahead and say hi in chat if you would.
You saw that.
I'm getting a lot of follows. I'm over 1,000 now. Getting a lot of followers from all the shorts I uploaded the other day.
Very good.
Uploaded a bunch.
But it can be used for tremendous good. And mostly good.
How many are actually uploaded?
We have to stop. But it's a massive industry, and I think things are going to happen. What you're seeing here.
I doubt I'm going to get the required minimum.
With a contribution to our country. I'll give you a little insight.
Chats, but the goal is to keep growing, get more people in chat. Which means I got to do it more often. Yeah, I've already done 15 of the minimum 20 shorts. I did 15 shorts the other day. Yeah, right now I'm up to 16 chatters. I got to have 75. The rest of them I'm going to hit. I'm going to hit everything else.
AI is not even, believe it, I'm friends with many doctors because of what I'm doing as president, and I've become very friendly with them.
Did you happen to get that email about the
tell me I'm healthy. So far so good. Where's the piece of wood?
About the fantasy league?
We got together last week and they said, we can't believe the progress that's been made in disease. Things that they didn't think would happen for 10 years happen in a matter of.
On my dashboard, it only shows combined, so it shows both the username and this channel.
China by a lot.
All both channels. I actually have a stock channel too. It's the
it's a massive industry.
inDOCtriNATION one, like I did for YouTube, which I haven't streamed on that forever.
He has no idea what crypto is. He had no idea. He didn't have a clue. But they were very violently against it. They were putting people in jail.
Either way,
what they were doing to the crypto world was horrible. It's amazing it survived that onslaught. It was a weaponization of government. So when I
made a banner to put up for when I'm switching devices too. That way people understand what's going on.
I think it was 100 million people.
I don't know if the banner stays going while it's disconnected, but I'm going to check to see.
After he was getting killed, he was down so much. All of a sudden, they became pro-crypto. And their head of the SEC was horrible. I'm like, oh, he's really good. No, I mean, he's the best man for the job. Everybody wanted him. But he was horrible. What he was doing, they were putting people in jail. But you know that.
I said it to say
good people.
I said it like last weekend, I think. I'll resend it though.
And I said, "You gotta be kidding!" And they were.
It's gonna have to be. It's through ESPN now. So
killing by
just download the ESPN app. Make sure you have an account with them. So if you could do that and just send me the email that you're using for that, I'll resend you a new invite. I want to have this ready before it's too late this year. I don't want to be last minute drafting.
You're lucky I'm president.
We're getting rid of some of the people that weren't active in it last time too. You were very active, so I think the ESPN app is going to be easier to use too. I'm not sure yet though. It's been a long time since I used that.
It's not a question of a personal thing, because I let my kids do whatever.
No, I haven't done the banner yet. I haven't put it up yet. I'm going to put it up when
I'm allowed to.
when I switch devices. You know how you get the little display screen.
So I make, as president, the president.
You'll see in a second.
Get essentially
just to let you know not to take off, because I'm gonna fire it back up on my laptop once I'm inside working. I gotta set up a desktop for the nurses here. They
Now I figured, because we've had other wealthy presidents. We've had
I'm talking about an email for the new league. You should have gotten an invite from ESPN.
One of the wealthiest, believe it or not, was George Washington, who wasn't in the White House, but there are pictures of him surveying this ground. He's the one that sort of picked the location. I think he made a good choice. He picked a good location. But George Washington had two desks in his pre-White House. One was, and they were right next to each other. One was for business, and one was for the presidency. He had two desks in the same room. And so you're allowed to, but I choose not to. I don't talk to my kids about, this stuff. But I will say this. To me, crypto is a very powerful. A lot of people are using it. Bitcoin, they're using it at levels that I don't think anybody understands really about. And if we didn't do it, China would do it in a minute. And if we let our guard down on AI,
all right. So let me show you what I'm talking about.
Producing plans.
Make sure this is ready.
Basically, these guys producing, you might as well put them down. Well, I think you should mark them down as utilities, because frankly, in many ways, I'm more impressed by their electric plants, and they're building them on top of the buildings, alongside of the buildings, standalones right next door. But you have to see some of the electric producing.
I got to turn off the
they're making. Nobody's ever seen, because they're
30-minute max idle.
And it's a fantastic thing.
Just
But if I
running out
didn't
here.
come up with that idea, maybe somebody else would have. I doubt it. Because it's too simple. I mean, it's such a simple idea. You know that your friends.
And you can watch the rest of this on C-SPAN. But right now, we're going to take you live to the U.S. Capitol, where the House is gaveling in for a brief pro forma session.
Oh, great. A pro forma session. Who really cares about that? So,
no
all
votes
right.
expected.
Yeah, no votes expected. They're going to gavel in and gavel out. What a bunch of idiots. All right, hang on a second. Let's see what else we've got.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
C-SPAN, they just can't take it.
Always do.
And
all right, so let me put up the banner
House
like I was talking about.
This. We're back.
Number one, they can't believe that they're approved in a period of a matter of weeks, because if this was somebody else, it would be 20 years before. They're all under construction.
C-SPAN
They get
idiots.
rapid
All right, now I'm gonna try and switch this over to.
Nuclear is now really hot.
What the hell is this still behind?
And safe. I was not a huge proponent until 2 or 3 years ago, and then I saw what my uncle was a big.
See if this works. I'll see you in a minute.
MIT, he knew nuclear better than anybody. I think anybody in the world.
those things that like when your work's done, you're done?
No, it's just like I can.
There we go.
Like a list, an actual set of things that you have to done every day that you like to get done. Or you get through 60 extra things after already.
Now, like this week's gonna be a lot of like interviews, trying to get fully staffed. Got to figure out August schedule for like.
Yes, this is.
Appears. Dragon's Dogma 1 appears. Skyrim appears. Black Myth Wukong appears. And eventually, the good games, they show up. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That's correct. So you mean the consumers will get what they will get the products they ask for? What? Yes, that's correct. The consumers will get the products they ask for to the extent that they buy them. So we're also making reductions. Moj and Ken will report directly to me. These two studios have increasingly become platforms and are our largest bi-monthly active players. They bring in critical geographic, demographic, and differentiation to Xbox. Second, we will reset our platform. We know that today, great technology. Oh, sorry, give me a second. Technology gets better when it gets simpler and not bigger. Today, in some parts of the company, work passes through as many as 14. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. 14 layers of management. Our platform teams are still 40% larger than they were at the start of this generation, even as our player base and playtime have declined. That complexity has slowed decisions, blurred accountability, and made it hard. This is exactly what I've been saying the whole time. Fucking exactly. Yes. Do you remember? This is what's crazy.
Have a list.
I did it for just 8 hours when I worked for this like side company.
Where is it?
Horizon. And, like, it was a lot, but I thought
Corporate accounts payable. Nina speaking.
I don't know if this is the part.
Yeah, I have the memo right here. I just
No, it's not. It's later on when they're doing the interview. Well, anyway, it was a literal joke in 1999 that this guy had to go through 7 bosses. So think about that and then double it. Welcome to Xbox.
I agree with you on that.
It was literally a joke back then. And now it's twice as many. It's 8 bosses? Oh, it's not quite double, right? Just 7, exactly. I have 8 bosses, Bob. Yeah, there it is. It's just insane for me to see this. So 14 different groups of people, 14 layers. That complexity is slow delusion. As we reset Xbox, we will need to simplify. We will reduce management layers to no more than 5. So that means that literally most of the management will go. Because if you're at 14 and you go down to 5, you've got to lose over half your people, right? I mean, that's the math, right? So, oh my God. So they're actually getting rid of, even that's too much? Well, it depends on what they mean by management levels, right? I mean, this could still mean like a high-level approval process that would be mandatory. But anyway, and where possible, 3. We will deliver success through a flatter organization that is built around makers, individual contributors focusing on building, player coaches, leaders who remain deeply involved with the work while developing their teams, and directly responsible individuals, DRIs, who own key decisions and outcomes. So that means, oh, dude. I haven't heard something like this in a long time. That is brutal. So now it's basically like your head is being assigned to every decision that's happening. This is a crazy level of accountability. I've never seen a company say this publicly before. I really haven't. Maybe Elon has said this, but like that's about it. The modern audience hates accountability, and we will streamline how we work across our tools with a cleaner code base, shared services, and 50% vendor spend. Third, we are resetting how we operate. As Xbox grew our headcount, we became more fragmented. Team studios and functions often operated independently, and it became harder to work towards a shared goal, making the right trade-offs and getting things done. For the first time, we are establishing a chief operating officer with an end-to-end products and P&L. What is this here? Why am I not thinking of like what profit and loss responsibility? Profit and loss responsibility across content, hardware, platform, and services. Helen Chang has been promoted to this role and will report directly to me. And over nearly 2 decades at Xbox, Helen's helped build some of our most important businesses, from Xbox Live to leading Mojang and the Microsoft franchise. It sounds like Helen knows what she's doing. And she will bring our businesses together as we are operating under one model, making sure that we're clear on investment decisions, learn from successes and failures, and hold ourselves accountable. Thank you to Dave McCarthy, who is retiring after 17 years with Xbox. Dave has played a defining role in building the platform and millions of players rely on every day. As a trusted partner through many moments of Xbox's history, we wish him all the best. These changes are about a bigger future for Xbox, not a smaller one. The next decade of gaming will be larger, more global, and more creative than anything we've ever seen. This year, we'll invest as much into Xbox as we ever have, but we'll invest with greater focus, greater discipline, and greater clarity, all in the service of making Xbox where the world plays and creates. I want Xbox to be one of the few companies that entertains more than 1 billion people each day and gives everyone the opportunity to create and connect. I know we can achieve this goal. Yeah, I'm sure you can lock in 1 out of every 7 or 8 people in the world playing Xbox every day. Yeah, sure, Asha. Yeah, you can totally do that. But hey, you know, like, at least they're trying to do something, okay? Right. Anyway, Xbox has many of the most beloved franchises in entertainment history, the talented studios around the world, and we will return to growth in 2027. History is full of companies that mistake longevity for inevitability. We will not be one of them. Damn. Damn. That's crazy. Oh my God. Wow.
Well, like, the good thing is, like, Tatum has very confidence. So, like,
she's fixing over a decade of Xbox tragedy. Xbox has been mismanaged for a really long time. The main thing they need to do, here's the main thing they need to do. You need to make a very good version of Gears and a very good version of Halo. If Gears and Halo are unhealthy, that's like your heart and your brain. That is the heart and the brain of Xbox. If those games are bad, then Xbox is bad. Then you have a handful of other games that are like underneath that build up the Xbox brand. Things like, for example, Elder Scrolls. Things like now World of Warcraft and other games like that. But it's mainly the games that are associated with Xbox, the games that you bought an original Xbox for or an Xbox 360. What were those games? Gentlemen, tell me in chat right now, what was the game that you bought an Xbox for? Forza is another one. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know why I didn't mention that. Everybody's saying Halo. Halo and Gears. Fable. That's another one. Black Ops. And yeah, everybody knows, right? Gears, yes. Like, I mean, let me just prove my point here. Maybe I won't prove my point, but let's find out. I want to find out and see how many people are playing this. Okay, create poll. Why did you buy? Just a minute. I just realized something. I just realized something. I still had my CD key on my copy paste clipboard, and I knew that if I was about to copy paste something, it would actually show my CD key. I had to change that. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't want to show that, but it's okay. Why did you buy your Xbox? Okay. What game? Halo, Gears, other. Almost got a free copy. Yeah. Okay, so it probably wouldn't have worked, but we're gonna look right now. All right. So there it is. Just other. All I want is other. Like if you bought it for Halo, Forza, whatever else, that's fine. These games are Xbox. They are Xbox. Halo has sold more games, more Xboxes. What people in my chat are saying is that Halo has sold more Xboxes than every single other video game put together. 51% of people bought an Xbox because of Halo. That is fucking ridiculous. Think about that. That's crazy. Gears was 360, to be fair. Yeah, I know that. Halo 3 was the biggest ever. Yeah. From the Unk Gen, mind you. Well, yeah, but the Unk Gen are the ones, the Unk Gen. I like that. That sounds like a fucking a race in Halo. Like one of the Covenant, forces. The Unk Gens. Send in the Unk Gens. Like, oh my God. I bought a PS4 because of Bloodborne. Yeah, I did too. I did. That's the only reason I have a PS4. If it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't even have one. So, yeah, this is the right decision. This is the right decision and the right path for Xbox. And remove the parasite woke devs and DEI programs. Start making better games with no activism in them, and you will make the sort deal for Xbox. So this is my advice. If you're ever thinking about making a female character in a video game, ask yourself, would girls that have OnlyFans cosplay this character? If the answer to that question is no, delete the character. That's it. That's the beginning and end of it. That's all there is to it. And I think that overall, the most successful games have attractive female protagonists. They do. And at least female protagonists that people want to be, right? And she's either hot or she's not. Yeah, you don't want to have, every time you have the female protagonist is Deborah Wilson or some other bald woman or something like that, there's like 3 women in the world that look good bald, and all of the rest of them look fucking disgusting, and nobody likes it. Nobody wants to look at it. So just don't do it. Yeah, Cortana, right? Bayonetta. So that's it. Not true. Tifa's mid. Well, that's not true. Anyway, the complexity of the industry has never been the issue. The problem is you keep pandering to minorities and making games for people that never buy them. Make good games. Based VTuber, by the way. Very based VTuber. And a good start. The easiest solution is to just look for the pink-haired devs that are destroying your IP and send them on their merry way. People want good games, but the shoved ideologies into what could be good stories is why your revenue is down. I really think this is a huge factor. I do. Like, I think that, like, whenever I see these video games, like, I don't know about you guys, but, like, maybe I'm, like, I don't think that everybody's, like, but I think a lot of people are like this. Like, we see some of these, like, these like, weird wokeness stuff in games, and, like, I just kind of feel myself, like, not really want to play it as much. It's not, like, a really big feeling, or, like, I don't really care about it in, like, a big way. It's just like, you know what? Like, I'm not really that interested in that. And, like anything else, like, I don't really want to, I just don't want to play it, right? I just don't want to do with it. Like, it's like a fly in your soup. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, I just don't want to have that happen. The game's playing you. Yeah, no doubt. And so, regarding Arcane, how much I'm asking for a friend. Wow. Wow. I love it. I absolutely love it. Please kill them. Yeah. Today, lay off 3,200 people. Next year, sponsor 3,200 H-1B Indians. Yeah, I have to admit, this lady boss has some balls. Credit where credit is due for making the hard choices and being extremely transparent with not only the choices, but the reasoning behind them. That's true. I mean, like, honestly, I love how, like, all of the... It's actually really funny that all of the most racist and fucking awful, the most chudded out of their mind fucking people inside of like gaming, they're now all cheering and happy about an Indian female that's running Xbox and firing everybody. It really goes to show that, like, it actually never really was about hating women ever. It was about hating a certain kind of people. And that was it. Hell yeah. Yeah. It's just really funny to see. Like, it's like some kind of like poetic thing where it's like your savior, the person that's actually willing to do this, is the person that you would least expect, right? Yeah. Chuds without borders. Exactly. When it's highly logical and clocks the customer's perspective, it's really easy to just say how it is. Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, exactly. I thought you were maybe a DEI CEO, but I was wrong. There's another one. You really have some gusto, and you are putting Xbox on a path to its former glory. Yeah, a lot of people thought that. Like, the moment that we saw there's like an Indian woman like put as CEO of Xbox, we're like, okay, all right. All right, I see what you're doing here, right? That's why they hired her. She's a homewrecker and contracted to downsize the company. She's probably only on contract for 2 years, and they'll hire a new CEO to manage the business aspect. Well, maybe you're right. I have no idea. But it also probably depends on how people like her. I mean, this is a public role position, and it's a public-facing position, so I think that does matter. It definitely has a role. So, yeah, that's really it. And the core demographic of games has remained unchanged since the early 80s. I think that's generally true. Yeah, this is good, but for it to work for you, you must change your company policies to stop driving away your core audiences. So yes, are your female characters equipped with clothing and armor to fit their tasks? Do they have exaggerated body proportions? If the answer is no, they don't have exaggerated body proportions, then you just might as well not even sell the game. Just don't even do that. Blizzard has been striving for this result ever since this happened. That's right. They need to fire a lot of the Blizzard people too. Like, they obviously don't know how to make WoW. And Slay, everybody loves it, man. Fire the entire HR department and hire some college bros like that monster trucks, guns, and big tits to make. The guy follows me. That's right, brother. So true. Make some good quality AAA, AA games with 10 to 6 hour campaigns, just like Space Marine 2. That's probably what he's thinking of. Stop policing lobbies. The company will be fixed and making a good profit again in 2 to 3 years. That is exactly right. I am so happy and so glad that this is happening. Where's my monster truck games, brother? I don't know, man. And one of us, yeah, massive part of the ESO team just got laid off. Yeah, I guess so. And also, do you want to know why Elder Scrolls Online is probably getting layoffs? Let me consult the crystal ball. Yep. That's probably about right. I mean, like, really, MMOs are dead, yeah. And I'm a crystal girl now, I guess, for now. By the way, so remember when I told you guys the story about the evil eye necklace and about how I gave it to a girl and everything? Like, I told the story yesterday. Yeah, okay. Well, I got a text message. I heard what you said about the evil eye necklace. What do you mean you're just putting up with my retarded bullshit? It actually worked. Oops. Oops. Oh, God. I didn't know that. Who snitched? I don't know. I don't know what it was. And so, anyway, yeah, pulled the wrong mob. I guess so. And that's an oopsie daisy. It sure is. And was your response, I know? No, it wasn't. I said I was just joking around, right? And, you know, I think that was good enough. And it's one of the 7% female viewers. Yeah, the female viewership is, I don't know if it's still going up or not. I have no idea. But for a while, we have increased the amount of female viewers that watch the stream by a lot. And I think the reason why I said this before is that I treat women like people. I treat them like men, basically. I'm like, okay, well, you're responsible for your own behavior. And I think there's a lot of women that appreciate that. There are. Probably more than you would expect. And the Highlander rule, oh, that's only for guilds, okay? That's a very different thing. Actual females, yeah, it went from 5 to 10. That's exactly correct. And you can stop hiding now, PlayStation executives. Posting the entire email is a really smart move. Honestly, it comes across as genuine and the comments reflect it. The best way to ensure success is to fire the people responsible for getting us this far and hire a bunch of new people that have no clue about how to make a successful product. This is the way. Yeah, and hearing of Xbox strategy revolves around Minecraft, reportedly used to funding other studios. Well, yeah, that's the thing is that Minecraft is supposed to be like this is like everybody. Minecraft is a cash cow. Minecraft generates revenue for them to take new risks to hopefully generate the next Minecraft. That's the whole point behind it. I don't know why people don't get this, but anyway, y'all need a guy like this making decisions, not corporate executives. This is actually true. This guy right here, he knows what Xbox needs. They need to have an entire, an entire like service of these guys, right? Where they get this photo of me? Yeah. Fucking exactly. Oh my God. As after a hair transplant for 10 years? No, I'm not going to get fat. That would never happen. Have you guys tried making games that don't suck ass? Do you guys, do people like being preached at? I'm not sure if they do or not. But, oh my God. Oh my God. Really? Like, is this really what you guys are trying? I had a mod send me this.
It did last night.
That's crazy.
I wrote it. I went to bed.
That's really crazy. Wow. Yep. Oh my God. And who is that? I don't know, guys. I have no idea. And wow. And my controller? Yeah, I don't get it. That's okay. That's fine. And yeah. And nothing will beat Call of Duty World War II, 17 D-Day. I mean, I think they've had a lot of really good releases. They have. And anyway, let's take a look. Bethesda will be overhauled. And as part of today's changes to focus on key franchises going forward, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein. So basically, Starfield is dead. It's over. It's done. Starfield is finished. It's about time, honestly. Like, I feel like they should have done that a long time ago with Starfield. And finally getting Elder Scrolls 6. Do you think Xbox, what is this here? Do you think Xbox is due for a new mascot? Xbox has a mascot. It's called Master Chief. Master Chief is the mascot for Xbox. Like, Mario is the mascot for Nintendo. Master Chief is the mascot for Xbox. Who is the mascot for PlayStation? Maybe Kratos, God of War. Like, I would say maybe him. I'm not even really sure, but it's probably him. And yeah, it's probably Kratos. And so John Sega is, yeah, Spider-Man. No, Astrobot. Yeah, Astrobot will be if they make a couple more games. But like, I think that a generational franchise would probably be necessary for that. The Xbox reset, the great reset. ESO, here it is. ESO laid off half of its team today. If you've ever enjoyed the game in any way, let these people know. Your hard work and creative efforts helped make something that brought joy to millions of people. They didn't deserve to be unceremoniously tossed out for shareholder value. Why do they always do this? Why do they always do this? Where it's like this, like it's so annoying. By the way, who is doing these polls in chat? Which mod is doing the polls in chat? Because sometimes we have a lot of polls in chat. We don't need this many polls in chat. I'm not sure who's doing these, but we don't need to be doing these, okay? There's too many. We don't want to go through and figure out who's the imposter. We want it, like, which mod is doing it? Let me see. I don't know who's online or what it is, but we're going to have to either, the polls either need to stop or we're going to have to unmod like everybody. We're going to have to unmod everybody, and we're going to have to play Among Us, okay? So I don't want to have to do that. Just no more of the polls, all right? We're gonna get rid of the polls, and that's it. So yeah. And new mod list. Yeah, I know you guys think it's funny, but no more polls. So anyway, yeah, and unless it's like a normal one, and I feel like it's gone on for a lot. And I know that you guys, again, it's okay. It's okay if you do it. I'm not mad, but it's just there's been too many of them, and it can be like really spammy, and people have complained about it. That's okay. But I don't want to get mad at anybody. There's nobody. I don't want to have anybody get called out. Nobody's getting called out publicly. I'm just saying let's not do as many of those anymore. Anyway, let's move on. So about half of ID, ZeniMax Online looks to have lost half of their team too. Xbox isn't healthy, therefore they should continue doing more of the same. Wait, what? But losing... Oh, wait a minute. What is this? What kind of retarded is this? Xbox is not healthy, but losing all of this talent isn't the cure. Talent? Where is it? Where is it? I don't see it. Where's the? Is it under the sofa? Do I have to look under this? I can't find it. Guys, where's the talent? Oh no! Oh my God! As popular as Marvel is, we have to plan to return to Xbox. So, to help award-winning studios thrive and fund them in creating industry-leading tech, then another entry into the Hellblade series sounds like a smart move. Both Senua's Sacrifice and Senua's Saga have won prizes at the Game Awards, BAFTA, and DICE for their artistry, technology, and performances behind their stories and characters, as well as educating those who played them about the world. I am going to write a manifesto. I've had enough. I've had enough. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of having to read opinions that I disagree with. I've had to do this for so long, and enough is enough.
I never heard of that before. That they're not allowed to review in slow motion because it's so different. Because you'll take one little quarter of a second and you'll see that a hand is touching a neck, or you see something. Whereas when you see it in fast motion, it will look like two guys colliding, which is really what happened. They got sort of entangled. He didn't do anything wrong, and he's our best player or one of our best players, a very vital player. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. I said, boy, that's a big, if it happened to another player, it would have been unfair. But when they take your best player, or just about, they have some great players, and they say you can't play, that's very unfair. That's, it's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold. And he was good before this started, but he really pushed it in this country. I'm the one that got them to do it. It was not Biden. Biden was asleep. I got him to do it. In fact, it was very sad because I got him to do it. And if the progression was normal, I would have been retired. Now the Democrats are saying, man, we should have just let him have his way. We would have had him gone. But I said, the saddest thing is I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. I tried to claim 250 years too, but that didn't work. They said, that one is what it is. No, I tried, but it didn't work. But wait. So I got him. I was so proud of it. And then I realized, I wouldn't be president during that because I would have been out of office by that time. I felt badly. The beautiful thing about what I did is I ran. I never thought of it. And then all of a sudden I realized, I just got the Olympics, and I totally got that myself. And I just got FIFA. I got that myself. We gave a little piece to Canada, gave a little piece to Mexico. I got that myself. And a lot of people helped, like that man right there, Kevin. A lot of people, you know that. We worked hard on that, and we got it. But what we didn't know is how successful it was going to be. I didn't know. I said, Johnny, is anyone going to show up? Because, we're not really. I think soccer's doing much better, but I couldn't imagine if you would have said to any very smart of these, like people like this, that the numbers they're doing now would be happening. They've never seen anything like it. Think of it. Take the most successful Olympics or the most successful FIFA, and you look at what's happened. You look at the numbers for this in the United States, just compared to FIFA, and it's numerous times more. It's not like 10% more, 2% more, 5% more, which is more expected. It's like 4 times more successful than anything they've ever done. In fact, I said to Johnny, let's do it again next time. And he said, that would be hard. I said, no, you do it again. But at the same time, you give it to somebody else for the next one. I don't know. It's a little crazy idea. But all I did, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. And, again, I'm good at this stuff. I didn't think it was a foul. I thought it was 2 great athletes that crashed into each other and got entangled. That was not a guy punching somebody in the face or many doctors, because of, what I'm doing as president. And I've become very friendly with a lot of them. They're great. Yeah, they're great as long as they tell me I'm healthy. Okay. When they tell me I'm healthy, so far, so good. Where's a piece of wood? But a couple of them got together last week and they said, we can't believe the progress that's been made in disease. Things that they didn't think would happen for 10 years happen in a matter of minutes, matter of seconds. So that's going to be used for good. But we're leading China by a lot. We're leading everybody. Crypto's the same thing. If we didn't do it, China would do it. It's a massive industry. And frankly, when I went very pro-crypto, as you know, Biden was totally against it, but he has no idea what crypto is. He had no idea. He didn't have a clue. But they were very violently against it. They were putting people in jail. What they were doing to the crypto was horrible. It's amazing it survived that onslaught. It was a weaponization of government. So when I went very much for it, and I think I got 100% of the vote. But what happened is, I think it was 100 million people. It's a big industry, and that means some pretty good things. But what happened is Biden then, after he was getting killed, he was down so much, all of a sudden they became pro-crypto. And their head of the SEC was horrible, unlike Paul, who's really good. No, I mean, he's the best man for the job. Everybody wanted him. But he was horrible. What he was doing to the crypto, they were putting people in jail. Oh, you know that better than anybody. Good people, great, prestigious people. They were putting them in jail. And I said, you got to be kidding. And they were trying to destroy the industry. Okay, ready? So now I'm killing Biden. I'm winning by so much. And all of a sudden, he becomes totally pro-crypto. They dropped all investigations of everybody. They allowed people to come out of jail. And every time I see a crypto guy where they dropped an investigation, I said, you're lucky I'm president, because I don't know if you know, the Biden administration became totally pro-crypto that last couple of months because they were getting killed. Because crypto has a tremendous audience. So yeah, I'm very much for crypto because it's not a question of a personal thing. Because I let my kids do whatever the hell they do, they can do. I don't ever talk to them about it. I'm allowed to, I think. I'm allowed to, but I don't bother because this office is a much higher calling. So I make, as president, the president of the United States get essentially $2.5 million for 4 years, right? Wait a minute. It's spread out over a period of 4 years. It's about $2.5 million. I waived my salary. Now, I figured because we've had other wealthy presidents. We've had Kennedy and we've had FDR was very wealthy. Teddy Roosevelt was wealthy. And one of the wealthiest, believe it or not, was George Washington, who wasn't in the White House, but there are pictures of him surveying this ground. He's the one that sort of picked the location. I think he made a good choice. He picked a good location. But George Washington had 2 desks in his pre-White House. One was, and they were right next to each other. One was for business, and one was for the presidency. He had 2 desks in the same room. And so you're allowed to, but I choose not to. I don't talk to my kids about, this stuff. But I will say this, to me, cryptos are very powerful. A lot of people are using it. Bitcoin, they're using it at levels that I don't think anybody understands really how powerful. And if we didn't do it, China would do it in a minute. And if we let our guard down on AI, if I didn't come up with the idea for electric plants, producing plants, they become a utility. Basically, these guys producing, you might as well put them down. Paul, I think you should mark them down as utilities because, frankly, in many ways, I'm more impressed by their electric plants. And they're building them on top of the buildings, alongside of the buildings, standalones right next door. But you have to see some of the electric producing, the generating plants that they're making. Nobody's ever seen because they're brilliant people. And it's a fantastic thing. But if I didn't come up with that idea, maybe somebody else would have. I doubt it because it's too simple. I mean, it's such a simple idea. Do you know that your friends, Michael?
And you can watch the rest of this on C-SPAN. But right now, we're going to take you live to the U.S. Capitol, where the House is gaveling in for a brief pro forma session.
Oh, great. A pro forma session. Who really cares about that? So,
no
all
votes
right.
expected.
Yeah, no votes expected. They're going to gavel in and gavel out. What a bunch of idiots. All right, hang on one second. Let's see what else we've got. That's over on C-SPAN. They just can't take it. And let me see. The White House is broadcasting this. We're back.
I said, why aren't you? They said, we thought you were, every one of them, they thought I was kidding because they can't believe it. Number one, they can't believe that they're approved in a matter of weeks because if this was somebody else, it would be 20 years before. They're all under construction.
Idiots.
We do rapid approvals. And some are nuclear plants because nuclear is now really hot and safe. I was not a huge proponent until 2 or 3 years ago. And then I saw my uncle was a big nuclear guy at MIT. He knew nuclear better than anybody, I think. Anybody in the world, probably. He was the smartest guy. He was at MIT, the head, for 41 years. And he said to me one day, he said, nuclear is going to be the most important thing, but it's also got to be watched. It's got to be watched very carefully because it can build the world, but it can also destroy the world. He said that. I said, Uncle John, that was a long time ago. But he was exactly right. He called it exactly right. But what they've done with nuclear in terms of generating energy is absolutely, a submarine can run at full speed for 30 years without having to refuel. The only thing it has to do is come up every 90 days for food. They can't solve the food problem. But think of it. A submarine, without having to gas up, can run for 30 years at full speed without stopping. I mean, who would believe a thing like that? But fortunately, we have the best technology and we have the best submarines. It's something we lead the world in by 15 years. Any other questions? Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
What?
I said thank you so much, Mr. President. Jennifer Schonberger of the Alpine. On the Trump accounts, SpaceX president has said that she's going to donate shares to the Trump accounts. Have you spoken at all with Elon Musk about further share donations as well as other corporations about share donations?
Yeah, I'm like a cheerleader for geniuses. I love geniuses. I love high IQ people. He's a high IQ person. I love high IQ people. And I speak to Elon, I speak to Mark, I speak to Jeff, I speak to everybody. By the way, in the first term, less so. In fact, at my first inauguration, none of them were standing behind me. They were just the opposite. And now at this last inauguration, every one of them was standing behind me. It was sort of amazing. No, I speak to all of them. And I encourage them. I want them to be tremendously successful. Now, there's a thing called TikTok. Have you heard of it? I was watching a show this morning, Maria Bartiromo. She's fantastic. And on her show, they were talking about the dangers of TikTok. And it's Chinese, a whole thing with spying and what they're doing with it. Well, except it was announced about 2 days ago, the new numbers just came out. You know who the number one person in TikTok is by far? Trump, me. Oh. I just got, I'm number one. Like Taylor Swift was number 11. I'm number one in TikTok by far. And the numbers just came out. And I said, well, I'm hearing about how they influence. They're talking about their tremendous danger because they influence, but if they influence so badly, I'm
thought it was
saying
sold.
all things like, I love our country, we got to stop communism, we got to this and that, we're doing a lot of things, but I'm by far number one. It was sent to me by, the list comes out, number one, number two. I was number one by a lot. So I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe they're bad, maybe they're not. I know one thing,
Taylor Swift
great
blown
American
out.
people, tremendous business people and companies bought it. I called President Xi and everyone said he was a hard no. He was a hard no, but I said, it's a good thing for TikTok, but it's good for us too. American companies, great ones, own our TikTok, and it's very influential.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'm
what I
number
thought.
one by a lot. So, I hear this thing was on today. Gordon Chang. I like Gordon Chang, but he's always so negative. Nobody's been tougher in China than me, but Gordon Chang. And he's a nice guy. It's like the world is falling down. It's not true. It's not true. We have to be careful because China's a great competitor. But, he was talking about, we must stop TikTok. I'm number one on TikTok. I think it helped me win the election in a landslide, if you want to know the truth. Yeah, please.
Do you work on the White House? Are you building a helipad? Are you building a helipad?
That's a help. Yeah. So for 50 years, we've been landing helicopters on grass. The grass is wet, soggy. The helicopters sometimes miss their little mark. They send people out, Marines. I watch them do it. They march out so beautiful, great guys. They have a piece of metal that he put down. And except for the fact that these pilots are so good, they almost hit the mark all the time. But sometimes they miss. They're half the size of this desk. Think of it. You're landing a big chopper. But, years ago, and they just got produced. But during my administration, they ordered brand new helicopters, the big ones, the ones for president. It's called Marine One. And our other Marine ones are about 40 years old. They're old, like Air Force One. It's time to make a change. And other presidents wouldn't do that because they think it's not good to make a change to luxury, but you got to do it. Other countries have them. So Sikorsky we ordered a number of Sikorskys as the helicopters back and forth. Well, they're about 2.5 times more powerful than the old ones. And when you land on the grass, it's not that the grass gets discolored. It gets ripped out. And it was all over. They landed it once, and nobody planned for this. This was a little bit of a planning mistake. So they landed the helicopter, and half of the grass was sitting in front of the Oval Office front door. The rest of it was scattered all over literally, it didn't singe it. It also singed it, by the way. But it literally lifted, because of the power. It's tremendous. And everybody said, well, we'll keep using the old helicopters when we have to land at the White House. And for everything else, we use the new helicopters. They said, that's a pretty expensive deal. You wouldn't do that for your company. You'd figure out an answer. So I said, because I have helicopters, and 3 of them. And I said, because they've been great for my business. I think they're incredible. So Sikorsky 76, right? And I always was lucky. I always got helipads. Other people don't. Very hard to get. The hardest thing to get is a helipad. Okay, there's no harder zoning thing to get is a helipad. And I had like 7 of them at different places, so I could go around by helicopter. And I said to the people, have you ever thought, these are generals, Air Force generals that are brilliant. And, you get used to a certain thing. They'd bring out the metal. But now the metal didn't work because the power of these helicopters is so great it ripped up the grass, right? So I said, has anybody ever thought of a helipad? Because I build them and they go quickly and it solves all of the problems. Like he's laughing. It's true, right? It's crazy. So it was funny. I said, has anyone ever thought of a helipad? I had like 6 generals in front of me. And they're going like, wow, that's a good idea. It's like the paperclip. It was such a simple invention. Probably he says that about a laptop. To him, it's a simple thing. To other people, wow. But the paperclip. 200 years ago, a gentleman came up with the idea for a paperclip.
Great idea.
And he made a lot of money, became very rich. Not as rich as Michael Dell, but rich. In those money. And what happened is everybody was jealous. They said, why didn't we think of this? Same thing with a helipad. So now we're building a helipad, beautiful helipad. and it's got the seal of the White House on it in granite, in carved granite. It's really a beautiful thing. And I'll tell you, Sikorsky is paying for it. You know why? Because they didn't tell us how powerful these helicopters were, and they felt a little bit guilty. They sold us I like power, by the way. I think it's great for a helicopter. But they probably, I don't know, they felt a little guilty. And they are paying for the cost of it. It's about $5 or $6 million. They're paying the full cost. And when I heard they were paying the cost, I went out and said, let's do a beauty. Let's not just do a piece of concrete and paint it white, which is why I just put beautiful concrete, nice, and we paint it white. This one is a beauty. It's got the seal of the White House. It's beautiful, the eagle. And it's carved out of granite. It's done by some of the most talented people you'll ever meet. And you're landing on granite, which is the strongest stone that we can, like the outside walk is black granite. That's 35,000 pounds per square inch. It's got a 1 million plus lifetime. It's the strongest stone there is. And that's being used out there. And it's going to be, I think, really beautiful. And you can see the size. It's going to be beautiful. And it can be used for other things when helicopters aren't landing. You can have other things out there like events. You could have news conferences literally on it because it's the right size. So by doing this, we solve the problem, and we'll be able to finally retire 45-year-old helicopters. Okay, how about one or two more, and we'll get out. Go ahead, please.
Millions of American soccer fans are obviously very happy. But what do you say to the critics who say this starts a precedent which other powerful leaders?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I can only say this. I had nothing to do with the decision. What I did have to do is I said, I think that should be reviewed because I watched the play. And he didn't do anything wrong.
They're so mad about this.
Got to look. By the way, if he did, I'd feel differently probably. If he punched him in the face, if he did something wrong. I thought your young, wonderful basketball player, Caitlin, I thought that she was treated rather rough, if you want to know the truth. That was a much different kind of an event. That was a pretty bad event. But in this case, he didn't do anything wrong. Two people ran into each other. And by the way, if you look at that game, there were 10 instances where it was much rougher than that. So I think it starts with the fact that it shouldn't have been a foul. And then you have to look at the person that raised the card, and that's up to you people. You look at it. But I didn't think it was very good because it was not good. And I think that Johnny is brilliant at what he does. And I think I don't think it was his decision. It's a big committee. And after reviewing it, I think they said, look, this game would have a big mark on it. If we lost, if we won, no matter what happened, you have to let them use their best players. And the game tonight's going to be amazing, and we're going to have a full team, and Belgium's going to have a full team. And you know what? If they beat us, then they can be really proud. The other way, if they beat us, we'll say it was rigged, just like the election was rigged in 2020, but I won't get into that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. The Trump accounts are great. Thank you.
Yeah. Trump accounts. And those kids sitting there on the floor, hilarious. Probably bored out of their minds, not realizing they're part of American history. Hilarious. All right, so that was pretty great. And C-SPAN cut us out, bunch of jerks. But Trump accounts now official, ringing the bell to kick off the new week. And all of that is underway. So very good news out there. So lots of conversation, surprisingly, about that World Cup call and the red card. And I think I saw something else that Keir Starmer also made some call. So maybe we'll have more world leaders going in and putting some pressure and some leverage on some of these decisions. But very interesting morning. All right, so that's the president. Now, we also saw that they gavelled in and gavelled out. And for some stupid reason, C-SPAN cut over to that like that matters at all.
Idea using it at
Here it was.
Will be offered by the guest chaplain, Reverend Daniel Carson.
All right, so prayers and more, but Congress isn't doing anything. Okay, here's the schedule for the week. July 6th through the 12th. We've got the current week scheduled here, and there isn't anything going on. Yes, we're human. Let's just verify with a refresh. Nothing on the docket. July 6th, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, nothing. Thursday, nothing. Friday, nothing. Because they're useless, and they've given themselves, I think, a long vacation for the 4th of July, and then they'll come back presumably next week. Let's see if we got anything next week. Yeah. So next week, July 15th, we've got some activity. We'll see if they get anything else scheduled, but I think, yeah, that's pretty much the game there. So not much happening from Congress. The Supreme Court is also out. It is full swing summertime. And so we've just got President Trump out there working for the American people while all the other bums are not. Now, speaking of the Trump administration, we've got some interesting developments that have happened with Bill Pulte. And let's take a look at this one. The new acting director of the what's the agency called? The new acting director of national intelligence, now not wasting any time firing some of the deep staters that have infested the agency. Bill Pulte came in to replace Tulsi Gabbard, and he is acting for now. We know Trump nominated another guy called Jay Clayton to take the helm in total. But until that works its way through, Bill has a lot of power. And we've already seen Bill deliver some other goods when he was prosecuting Letitia James, or at least making the criminal referral to the DOJ to prosecute Letitia James, identified the mortgage fraud for the Federal Reserve Board of Governor Lisa Cook, and so on and so forth. And now MS now got a leak. They get a lot of inside information from the deep staters still embedded in these agencies, saying officials now being fired, and dozens of them are now gone. And so this is an interesting one. Now, there is also litigation from fired CIA agents who have been put back in their positions because of corrupt federal judges who are shoving them back in. And so, as we've seen from the Supreme Court, the president has very strong powers to fire people. Remember, they said he can fire FTC Slaughter, and she was gone. That holding just came down. And he said, really, he could also fire Lisa Cook, but he's got to follow a little bit more mechanisms in order to do that. So these firings hopefully can stand, but I have no doubt about it. They'll sue to try to shove themselves back in to bypass the president's power. But MS now got the inside scoop saying dozens of people began receiving notice of their terminations thanks to Bill Pulte. One person who spoke on condition of anonymity said that the individuals being removed are because they believe they are, quote, literally deep state. And this is very likely true. The move comes after Pulte's elimination last month of 6 political appointees who were also under Tulsi Gabbard, 4 former senior intelligence officials, all leaking, all of whom should be identified and fired, told MS Now that they had never heard of intelligence officials withholding information from those above them. Yeah. They're all upset about it. They're thinking, we're next. Another former official questioned how Pulte, who has no experience, would be able to make a determination so quickly. Pretty easy. You just look at their work product and see what they've been working on the last 4 years. Did they have anything to do with the laptop letter, the 51 intelligence agencies, or any close proximity to anybody who signed that? Most of those people were no longer in government, but did they pal around with them? Are they friends of those individuals who did literally their best to rig the election? So they're upset about it. I have a real question of how he would know this. This isn't a guy who is familiar with intelligence. Don't really need to be. Okay, just go in there, take a look at literally what you've been working on. Can I see what you've delivered? Just show me the things that have your signature on it. You take a look at it. You got a pretty good idea. How is he going to get to the bottom of this, they say? It would be like me taking over a hospital and firing dozens of surgeons in a matter of days. Well, you could do that. Pretty easy. You don't need to spend years to investigate these people, but that's what they want. So he came in, he fired a bunch of people. He is obviously the director of national intelligence, which is kind of the hub of all of the intelligence agencies. A spokesman for CIA did not immediately respond for comment. A third former senior intelligence official dismissed the idea that we would ever engage in misconduct, saying, quote, look how stupid this is. The intelligence community is comprised of committed professionals. This is a fantasy. It only hurts U.S. national security. Yeah, right. Many of these people still inside are friends of James Comey. In fact, James Comey just told them to wait, hang on for 2 years, stand back, stand by. We'll come back very soon, and then we can just kind of reclaim the ship. They take their oath very seriously, and they hold a wide variety of political views, but they're professionals, and they approach their work in a non-political way, which is rich because, of course, they were the ones behind getting the FISA warrant to spy on Trump's campaign. They were the ones behind going to the social media companies to say there's going to be a hack and leak operation to Facebook and to Twitter at the time, and to tell them to suppress true stories like the Hunter Biden laptop story. All of it fake, all of it election rigging and more. And so Trump has told Bill Pulte, declassify whatever you want. When you get in there, baby, just have fun. Pulte is holding DNI until Jay Clayton gets replaced. And Trump told reporters, while he's there, I said, you can declassify whatever you want. And I hope he does. Very talented guy, but just there temporarily, and has already identified some mortgage fraudsters making criminal referrals for Letitia Latish and for Lisa Cook. But here's what the president said in a little stop and gaggle with the press.
DNI Pulte over there as the new director. We also know you have the task force set up on declassification, maybe talking about international, maybe looking at some declassification. Are you able to give us an update on that?
Declassify almost everything. And, by the way, we have Jay Clayton is going in. Bill Pulte's a very talented guy, but he's just there temporarily until Jay Clayton. And Jay Clayton is going through the process. And Jay Clayton, highly respected, and so is Bill Pulte. But Bill is there just for a fairly short period of time. But while he's there, I said, you can declassify whatever you want.
Do you think we're going to get some soon, or maybe 2020?
I told him you can do it as fast. You got to ask him. But I think that Bill will declassify. I told him you can declassify whatever you want. So Bill's there just for maybe a month or 2 months or something, and Jay is going through the process. He's got a hearing in 2 weeks. Highly respected man, Jay Clayton. Okay? Thank you.
All right, so hopefully Bill Pulte delivers everything, because we've got a lot of questions about a lot of things, and he's just got a couple of months to do it. So hopefully right now he is firing off emails and has that declassified stamp. He's just like, stamp, 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 stamp. As fast as you can go, Bill. Get that done, baby. And they're also working on creating a master list of spies. And this is very interesting because the CIA is also now being sued because of what Biden did when he ran the CIA. We've got a lawsuit here that we've got queued up showing that former CIA and some current CIA officials are suing the current CIA, really upset about what the Biden CIA did. And it's because the Biden CIA labeled them foreign spies and were investigating people who did not take the jab, who were working at the CIA at the time, as perhaps a threat to the nation. So they're suing. And now the DOJ and Trump and the DNI and many others want to get a master list of the spies. We want to see what the CIA, what these intelligence agencies have done to label certain people anti-American bad actors, because as we know, if you were a religious person, if you were somebody who went to a school board meeting and challenged what they were doing to your kids, if you didn't take the jab, they said you were a threat to America. And so now the New York Times is reporting that they're trying to get a list of everybody who's been labeled, essentially, saying they're demanding the names of all foreign espionage targets, including suspected spies and potential recruits, so that they can keep a tab on this. We know the FBI, CIA are very unhappy about it. Senior counterintelligence officials at the FBI and the CIA have resisted these things. But the director of national intelligence is the hub of all of the spokes of all of the intelligence agencies. For the FBI, this list would include those the Bureau wants to investigate and perhaps someday arrest. For the CIA, it could also include a bunch of assets. Some of these people fear that this could jeopardize their operations, and that Kash is already doing enough. He's already opening the books to the American people in historic ways. Okay. CIA declined to comment. An official from Pulte's office, speaking on condition of anonymity, said he's just following what the president wants. The government's definition of foreign intelligence threat actors is broad, and that includes more than just traditional spies and people from foreign countries. The term also encompasses criminal groups, hackers, foreign corporations, and other entities. And we know there's a big fat domestic list. They had Tulsi on it at one point. So to veteran spy hunters, the realities of this could increase the risk of tipping a hand. Trump officials have interpreted the memo to mean that the director should have full access to some of the most sensitive counterintelligence targeting, saying Trump ordered the agencies to do this. But concerns are now mounting. What happens if Bill gets this list? They're all going to freak out. Some people say they hope that Bill Pulte would abandon the effort, and I hope that they don't. But here's the lawsuit. So this one was filed by the Feds for Freedom organization. We were just at one of their events where I learned about this lawsuit. And several CIA officers and contractors are now suing the CIA, filing a class action because when they refused to take the jab, they were identified by the counter-espionage department, which is insane. So they're like a threat to America because they don't want to put that thing inside their body. The case is emanating out of the Eastern District of Virginia. And here's what the lawsuit looks like. Filed in the Eastern District of Virginia by anonymized CIA individuals, John Doe, Jane Doe, and Wayne Doe, against the current CIA director, John Ratcliffe. They're saying, remember this, shortly after Biden ordered in September 21 that all federal employees and government contractors take the jab, the CIA under him treated all unjabbed employees and all unjabbed contractors as threats to the government and investigated them as though they were foreign spies. No authority existed for those orders. The agency refused to undo any of these things after the fact. And these affected employees and contractors are now asking the court to find that this order that was launched to investigate them and a subsequent removal and refusal to remove the material were all contrary to the law and demanding that they take action. So here's one CIA agent called John Doe, still works there, multidiscipline security officer. Another one is a staff operations officer. Another one, Wayne, is a cybersecurity architect contractor. John Ratcliffe's in charge of it now, and they're suing. They say, you guys issued a memo, Joe Biden, not Ratcliffe, saying that anyone who refused the jab was going to be investigated by counter-espionage. And now all of their files have been marked with this. Refusal to remove any adverse information from each of their personnel files that was caused by Joe Biden's investigation. So, like, why is Ratcliffe not fixing this? Venue is proper because they're all in here at the CIA. They work at Langley or something, which is in the Eastern District. In September 21, Biden issued 2 executive orders saying mandatory jabs for all employees and all contractors. Shortly after these were issued, the chief operating officer of the CIA directed that all unjabbed employees and contractors literally be investigated by counter-espionage within the Counterintelligence Mission Center. So the CIA investigates their own people. The Counterintelligence Mission Center was created to investigate foreign espionage and sabotage. In other words, any employee or contractor who refused the jab was treated by the agency as a threat to the government and ordered to be investigated as the same. Now, the counter-espionage department utilizes invasive investigative techniques, I would imagine, because it's a threat to the government. Once an individual is investigated, any information from the investigation will be retained as long as they deem necessary. We see that in 2025, a whistleblower notified the DNI, the Director of Intelligence Director Initiatives Group, about this unlawful order. The DIG was established by Tulsi Gabbard to investigate this weaponization and to root out deep-seated politicization of this and rebuilding trust within the IC. They sent a series of requests for information to John Ratcliffe, who's now the CIA director, asking, among other things, hey, John. So Tulsi sends this to John, says, how many employees or contractors were affected by Joe Biden's order and these investigations? They said thousands of employees were investigated, but the agency refused to answer under what authority they operated when the order was issued. Now, on March 2nd, one of the unjabbed employees formally requested that the director of the CIA, Ratcliffe, remove all investigatory material and permanent notation stemming from these investigations. The agency never responded, just left him on red and didn't even comport with his request, which is curious. Why would John not do that? Plaintiffs bring this action now saying, we are a bunch, thousands, according to the numbers that they admitted to. We're investigated by the CIA, by the Counter-Espionage Department. Anyone who was unjabbed got investigated. It's a big class. There were literally thousands of employees and contractors. They've got commonality and typicality. They were each investigated by the Counter-Espionage Department. Why? Not jabbed. Under this rule, 3 plaintiffs will represent the rest of the class. Each one of them is unjabbed. Each one of them was, in fact, investigated. And so once they get a good result, that can also spread throughout the rest of the class. Now, the COO of the CIA issued an order for all unjabbed employees, all of that arbitrary, capricious, and abuse of discretion. No laws authorize them to do that. The agency had no legitimate reason to treat unjabbed employees and contractors as threats to the government, and the agency has not articulated any authority that permitted the COO to do any of this. The agency's failure to remove all adverse information from each contractor file or employee file was an abuse of discretion. And it seems as though the agency still thinks that these unjabbed people are threats to the government. And so short filing, they want a certified class. They want to declare that the current COO order, which is, I guess, maybe still in effect, was an abuse of discretion, declare the refusal to remove any adverse information to be an abuse of discretion, direct the agency to actually remove that info from their files, award attorney's fees and any other costs that are appropriate, courtesy of E. Scott Lloyd from the Lloyd Law Group on behalf of Feds for Freedom and these current CIA officers. And very interesting. I don't know why John Ratcliffe would continue to smear agents inside the agency who are still working with Joe Biden's prior propaganda. But Feds for Freedom launched the lawsuit, and they say there's thousands of people on there. One person, president of the organization, said any claim that the CIA was simply protecting the health of employees by ordering the Counter-Espionage Department to go after them is absurd. Whether or not someone gets jabbed is a personal medical decision. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're a spy. The investigations were never about health. They were a blatant abuse of power dressed up as policy. And there should be repercussions for the people who did that. That's an attack on American citizens to force them to do something for which there is no lawful order, and then smearing them as, I guess, foreign spies or domestic spies. So this has been filed. So hopefully we get some serious reform out there in the CIA. We know it seems like many of these agencies, you know, once you get into the position of power at the top, there's still very limited capabilities on what you can actually do with the entire underlying agency. It's why James Comey said, if you're at the FBI, we know Cash is there. We support his reform. We want him to succeed. But there's only so much they can do, because inside these agencies, there are like terror cells, domestic cells that cordon themselves off, separate out from any oversight, hide until the next administration comes in, and then reemerges to continue the work of the deep state. But Bill Pulte now firing people, Trump saying, declassify whatever you want and have fun in there. We hope we see some major reforms and really some criminal prosecutions for the people who are behind this, who abuse their power to prosecute the president and many other Americans, and then to weaponize the intelligence agencies against anybody who questioned COVID, anybody who questioned the Hunter Biden laptop or the 2020 election, or all of the other claims that they made about Russia collusion and so on and so forth. There needs to be dramatic reform, because if there's not, they're going to continue on the same road. Once power reverts back to them,
I mean,
or
I've
if they
looked
can
into
get away with it
Jason-
while power is still technically not theirs, they'll do it. So we'll keep our eye on this one. Happy to see some positive momentum here. We'll see what Bill Pulte releases first. All right, so we've got that one. Let's do one more segment, and then we'll hear from you. This one is a very curious
I haven't
one
changed any settings as far as that goes.
from Mitch McConnell and his wife. Very troubling trip from Mitch McConnell's wife. Of course, the senator has been hospitalized for quite some time. Nobody really knows why. Nothing communicated about his condition or whether he'll be returning to operations anytime soon. But his wife, as we're learning, her name is Elaine Chao. As soon as Mitch got hospitalized, she fled over to China and was hanging out over there with very high-powered individuals talking about future relationships between the United States and the Chinese, which is a curious thing for her to do when her husband's holed up inside of a hospital. Now, this woman, Desiree Townsend, has been doing some great reporting on this. She's over at Cheering for Change on X, and she said that Mitch McConnell has now been hospitalized for 3 weeks. And the gravity of the situation cannot be overstated, especially given that his wife, Elaine, appeared in China just days after his hospitalization to go meet with the high-ranking Chinese. The question now is about national security. If McConnell has been unable to independently perform his duties, what safeguards exist to ensure that these classified intelligence briefings, defense appropriations information, or other sensitive congressional matters could not be accessed, discussed, or shared by individuals operating behind the scenes? And given the timing of Chao's meeting with China's VP, what exactly did they talk about? And why did she race on over there? And that was all confirmed here by WLKY right out of Kentucky from Jennifer Austin. She said, 3 days after Mitch was rushed to the hospital, the Chinese government says that his wife, former U.S. Transportation Secretary called Elaine Chao, met with one of China's top officials in Beijing. Mitch is in the hospital. She flies to China. What a wife. According to a news report that was posted by the Embassy of the People's Republic of China, in the U.S., Chao met with Chinese VP Han Zhang in Beijing on June 17th, just 3 days after McConnell's out. The statement did not say whether Chao's visit was connected to any official government business, but it did say both leaders were committed to strengthening relations between the two countries. What? She's not working for the government right now. Han said that both leaders, quote, agreed on a new vision of a constructive Chinese-U.S. relationship of strategic stability, providing important strategic guidance on future bilateral relations. Okay. She was the Secretary of Transportation 17 to 21 and previously was the Secretary of Labor under Bush, married to McConnell since 1993, but she doesn't have any current position, as far as we know. In office, 1991, 1989, and Secretary of Transportation to 2021. Now she's just a private citizen. So what was she doing going over there to China, literally 3 days after her husband is knocked out and in the hospital? So has been around doing a lot of things for a long time. Here's more on the report from Desiree Townsend. She is standing outside the hospital showing us exactly what's going on.
Desiree Townsend here again outside of George Washington University Hospital as we mark week 3 of the hospitalization of Senator Mitch McConnell following the June 14th medical emergency. As you can see behind me, the Capitol Hill police vehicles, these black vehicles, are still parked outside the hospital here, an indication that he is likely also still here. So after I first released the dispatch audio indicating that he was found unconscious and was given CPR for cardiac arrest, this story finally gained national attention. condition. However, I don't think many Americans fully appreciate the seriousness of what may be at stake following Senator McConnell's medical emergency 3 weeks ago, or how Congress's lack of a constitutional mechanism to remove members for incapacity could have broader implications for the nation's governance and, most importantly, national security. This incredibly odd story also involves Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who stated to Politico that he had spoken with McConnell the day after his hospitalization and that he, quote, sounded good, end quote. Now, this statement threw off the press for nearly 2 weeks, placating the public until I released the EMS dispatch audio showing the seriousness of this medical emergency. Now, given that Senator McConnell is still here in the hospital 3 weeks later, and as far as I know, he has not spoken with any other members of Congress, now puts this initial remark by Leader Thune into question. And look, he could have just been attempting to give Senator McConnell his privacy, but the better response could have been, I have not heard anything, or I don't know. And this story gets even odder after I reported a couple days ago of a press release documenting that McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, met with the vice president of China 3 days after his hospitalization.
What?
And to be clear, the issue is not merely that Elaine Chao went to China. The issue is she is a private citizen. She holds no official government position. She's married to a sitting U.S. senator who reportedly had a major medical emergency, and now she's meeting with one of China's highest-ranking official 3 days later, all while the American public and possibly senior U.S. government officials in the Trump administration, as well as members of Congress, lacked clear information about his condition. So let me be clear about this. A meeting with China's vice president is not casual. Even if this was pre-planned, it signals Beijing views her as someone politically meaningful, yet she has no current role in the U.S. government. So why is she having these meaningful meetings with top government officials in China? Did she potentially carry messages to the CCP? Did she discuss
Probably.
U.S. policy? Or is she being treated as a back channel to non-public information, including her husband's health condition? Now, what I'm about to tell you next is incredibly important for all of you to understand. Like every sitting member of Congress, Senator McConnell has access to highly classified closed-door intelligence briefings on matters impacting U.S. national security. Those briefings can include topics such as military operations involving Iran, as well as classified discussions related to defense appropriations, an area of particular significance given that McConnell's role as a chair on the Senate Appropriations Committee. Now, if Senator McConnell potentially lacks the mental capacity and independent ability to perform his duties sitting as a U.S. senator, could classified information have been accessed, discussed, or even recorded by individuals hypothetically operating his office behind the scenes?
Yikes.
More broadly, what safeguards exist to protect classified information when a member of Congress is no longer capable of independently carrying out the office responsibilities? Lastly, what information, if any, did Elaine Chao carry with her to meet with the vice president of the People's Republic of China, Han Zheng, on June 17, 2026, 3 days after her husband, Mitch McConnell, reportedly went into cardiac arrest?
Good question. How many hard drives, thumb drives, manila folders did she have in her carry-on luggage? Would be a good question to get to the bottom of. So amazing reporting from this woman. Make sure you're giving her a follow. Her name is Desiree Townsend. If you're following us on X, we're going to repost this so that you
Desiree
can
Townsend here again.
easily follow her. And she also dug out the actual audio of the dispatch saying that he went into cardiac arrest. And people are wondering, is he going to make it? Is he functional? Are they keeping him on life support so that they don't have to have a special election, which would maybe change the balance of power or change the structure of the Senate with another new appointee? Here's what it sounded like from dispatch.
Had a great communication. He's starting as supervisor, CPR in progress. Okay.
EMS to respond. for cardiac arrest. 217, please read notice, yes, in Charlie. EMS to respond for cardiac arrest. 217, please read notice, yes, in Charlie. Cruise of 2nd Street in Charlie 11, 843.
Medic 3, EMS still coming. Medic 3, communications.
All right, so Mitch goes into cardiac arrest. He has a heart attack, and then she hops onto Travelocity, and she says, I can't wait to get a ticket over to China or something. So very strange things. There was a comment from this guy, Adams Cochran. He's a professor, policy consultant, and more. He said, a lot of people are asking, why hide Mitch McConnell's state? Not like a Dem would win the special election. Here's one thought. If McConnell vacated before August 3rd, the cutoff, it'd be a special election and anyone could register as an independent, including Thomas Massey, also from Kentucky, which would split the Republican vote, giving him or maybe even the Dem party a chance at the plurality. But if McConnell's seat is not vacated before the 3rd by legally stepping down or a signed death certificate, then it's too close to the next election, and the rules prevent a special election, which bars any new registrations at this point. So then McConnell's wife goes to China after he's hospitalized, and we don't know where she is. The next of kin isn't available to sign off, and so the bar for ending life support is extremely high. If he is on life support, the wife doesn't say, all right, cut it. That would require full brainstem death, which is not present in some patients who are never coming back. So all they have to do is drag their feet until August 3rd, then tell you that he didn't make it. And in turn, that would block Massey from disrupting an otherwise safe Republican seat. And that's a curious take. But it's July 6th. So waiting until August 3rd to not hear any proof of life from Mitch McConnell while his wife is traveling to and from China is a long time. Can they hold out that long and just keep him propped up in some vegetative state? I hope he does well. I hope he comes back. But we've seen Mitch McConnell has had a couple prior incidents here over the last several years. So maybe, this is the final one. We all have to move on at some point in time. But the lack of transparency and the fact that his wife just fled over to China is certainly a concerning development. So we'll keep our eye on this. Once again, shout out to the reporter here, Desiree Townsend, for bringing us the news and for camping out outside there to see exactly what's going on. We'll see if maybe John Thune says he talked to him again, or if this is something much more problematic. But hopefully American intelligence is on whatever Elaine Chao is doing, not a government official, somebody who raced over there while her husband is dying in the hospital. Strange developments happening. We'll see what comes next. All right, and let's do one other quick update, my friends, and then we'll hear what you have to say, and then we'll jet, because your boy's got to go see what's going on with Branca. We're going to go hang out with him in a little bit and talk about that Walmart shooting. But here's what Trump is saying. President Trump now sharing news that the Biden illegal immigration invasion resulted in an increase of 30% to our home prices, a concept that we've been contemplating here for a long time. Simple supply and demand. You've got certain limited amounts of houses in the United States. When you bring in millions of extra people who need those houses, you're going to increase the demand. With a limited supply, costs go up. Now, we have documents that back that up, and this was written over by the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas from Daniel Wilson and Xiaoqing Zhao. They say that there are serious and significant impacts of the illegal immigration invasion. And that is something that we've all known, but now you can put it to data and some charts. And so we'll come back to that. But Just the News is the article that the president had shared saying the actual cost of this was a 30% increase in home prices, 20% of rent increases. Now, if you're a homeowner and you're not intending to sell you might say, wow, my home value's gone up. I'm rich. You know, look at all this equity that I have now in my home because I put, you know, it's paid off or whatever. It's gone up 30%. Problem is, if you ever sell, you want to move. Now you got to pay another 30% for the next property. And so it compounds. Then you have the increase in the interest rates. And now it kind of freezes the market. Nobody wants to move because if they sell their house, they're going to have to go buy a house that's 30% more. And their interest rates would also be dramatically higher than probably what they're locked into now. So it freezes the market and it makes it less accessible to other Americans and first-time home buyers and young people who want to go buy their first home and start a family and, you know, build the American dream, now all being priced out. Why? Because of illegal aliens. So the paper went through a bunch of records. They have a low number. They came up with a wave of 7 million illegal immigrants from 21 to 24. The number's probably dramatically higher than that. And they gave us some details, and we'll take a look at the full report. But they're also noting that all of this invasion really did not expand the supply of the homes. Home building did not grow. And so we have a demand shock in markets where supply was already constrained. They say it's a preliminary draft, doesn't reflect the views of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas or the Federal Reserve. All we're doing is circulating this for public comment, but it's pretty clear. Everybody knows what happened. Everybody can see it in the markets. Everybody feels it when you start looking for property. So they explain the large increase of unauthorized immigration in the U.S. from early 21 to 24 have been unprecedented in modern times, we know. Saying, according to the CBO, a net entry of this category of immigrants added roughly 7 million people. So they're pulling their number from the CBO, which is a rigged number. It's double or triple that. To put this growth in perspective, the U.S. population over 21 to 24, we got 1.7 million per year, which was double that of legal immigration. So illegals coming in, double legal. So to put this in perspective, net unauthorized immigration, that is immigration of individuals who entered the country illegally, averaged only 0.1 million a year. Okay, see those numbers? 0.1 million a year from 2000 to 2019, and was slightly negative from 2010 to 2019. It went from 0.1 million, so 100,000 people, up to 1.7 million per year. I don't know how else you call that other than a full-blown invasion and really treason by our elected officials who came in, made some changes, enabled the whole thing to happen. We go from 0.1 million to 1.75 million, like that. Now, by mid-24, net unauthorized immigration had begun falling rapidly based on new data, and that was election year. So Joe Biden comes in. They then stop the invasion right before the election to say, look, we've solved it. We're working hard on it. We know we're going to get obliterated because of what we've done in 2024. They did. And so we're fixing it. Then Trump came in, and now we got net negative migration by Feb 25. So these developments have prompted considerable economic and public policy debate. To date, existing studies have relied on a bunch of things. We're changing our analysis a little bit. And this influx has created massive problems across the country. And because the recent rise in total immigration was driven primarily by the illegals, the economic impacts on local markets may be quite different from those in prior studies. And so they've done a very sophisticated analysis and identified all of the shocks. So they explain exactly how they do these calculations. Let me show you some charts in here on how this whole thing went down. And we've got some of the conclusions further down in this article. But in sum, a back of the envelope calculation suggests that this invasion can explain about 30% of the total growth in house prices and 20% of total growth in rents over the standard rate. We've estimated why, because there's been a housing supply shock, and the idea that they're coming in to build new houses is not a reality. It's not actually happening. which is why price is going up. They articulate a bunch of the literature that they incorporated into their analysis. It's a very technical paper. And immigration had been pretty stable for a long time. The figure shows that immigration rose during the 90s, peaked during the mid-2000s, contributed to an increase of 3.5 million in 1990 to about 12 million in 2007, and then a major dramatic departure from the preceding regime. Joe Biden came
Okay, we're back. Better off. Eggsy. Let me get the camera turned around here. All right. Let's rock and roll. My dash cam kicking on. How did it go? Not bad. Got quite a bit done. Not gonna be. John Deere related hotel. That sounds weird. Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. So John Deere doesn't own it or operate it. They just are in cahoots with them, huh? Let me get some audio going in the background here. Car on the side of the road.
I've reported a car on the side of the road. Thanks.
Boutique motel. Okay. Sounds cool.
More of the best of the Sean Hannity Show coming up.
Sean Hannity must be on vacation this month.
Sean's got more behind-the-scenes information, more contacts than anybody, more friends behind the curtain. Sean Hannity is on. All right, 25 now till the top of the hour, 800-941-SEAN, a number you want to be a part of the program. So, what has happened? I used to refer to former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio as Comrade de Blasio. And I said it kind of affectionately because he was pretty radical left-wing. Compared to Mamdani, he's almost a moderate, for crying out loud. And so we had him on last night, and we were discussing the three candidates that were endorsed by Mamdani that took on incumbent Congress.
Well, he lives in Florida, so.
and the core of the Democratic establishment. And for example, I went over the track record of some of them. For example, one of the people that won, unseated, a long-term serving member of Congress. But by the way, 15 terms. 15 years. That's a long time. A woman that says she wants to seize the means of production. She wants to seize private property in people's homes.
Sorry, it's too long to be in Congress. I don't care what party you're in.
She wants to abolish America's prisons completely, America's borders completely. She doesn't want anybody deported, not even criminal illegals convicted of rape and murder. This is a woman that the day after October 7th literally attended a pro-Hamas rally in Times Square in New York, bragging once that, using the American flag to wipe her hands. So we're going to play this interview because I think it's very revealing that a guy that never advocated this as radical as he was, and I know he's pretty radical, in his career would vote for her. And it took a lot for me to get that answer out of him. Listen.
So let's take a look at the three candidates that your friend, Zoran Marxist Kami Mamdani, supported.
I'd like to give him two middle names there, two middle names.
Well, I only gave you one. Maybe that means I like you more. I don't know. I kind of like you more because you're more willing to come on the program. Let me go through the record, for example, of one of the people that he helped elect. And this woman, Darlasia, whatever her name, Chevalier. Here are her positions. Because I think people need to really understand fundamentally where they stay. She, again, they call themselves Democratic Socialists, but she's the police through it all. She wants to abolish America's prisons completely. She wants no American borders completely. She doesn't want anybody deported, even people, illegals, convicted of murder and rape. A day after October the 7th, she showed up at a pro-Hamas rally in Times Square. That would be the equivalent of losing 40,000 Americans in a day if you extrapolate out the population. Brags about using the American flag to wipe her hands. Is that your party? Is that who you are? Would you vote for her?
Sean, the question is, why did the people of that district vote for her?
No. That's your question. I asked you a different question. My question is, would you vote for her?
She is the Democratic nominee. I would vote for her, yes. But let me tell you what's going on.
Wow.
Because you can do your list. Sean, you can do your list. But what's really happening is she spoke out against what America's been doing in the Middle East. And a lot of Americans, Sean, a clear majority of Americans do not think we should be in a war with Iran, including a lot of people who support Donald Trump. A clear majority of Americans think that what the Netanyahu government has done in Israel to the Palestinian people is wrong, and America should not be supporting it. So listen, wait, let me finish.
We're not talking about Israel. No. We're not talking about Israel.
The question
we are talking about, she wants to abolish the police. She wants no borders. She wants illegals that commit murder and rape to not go to prison. And I'm asking you are the mayor of New York City. I'm asking you if you would vote for this lady, and you're telling me yes, you'd vote for this woman.
I'll tell you what. No, I don't think she's a lunatic. I disagree with her, Sean. I can't believe you've never voted for someone you had some disagreements with. I disagree with her like this. I want you, Sean, for you and your many, many viewers, this is what's going on in the Democrat Party. A lot of people who vote Democrat are saying we want to see Democrats take on Trump, not cower before him. They think ICE is totally broken. I believe in secure borders. I don't believe in ICE. They think what we're doing in the Middle East is wrong. They think that nothing's being done to address the cost of living. You go down this list. When these candidates talk about Medicare for all, there's a whole lot of Americans who would like to have better health insurance who can't make ends meet. So I think you should realize why people are voting for these progressive candidates because they represent change.
You would never abolish the police. You would secure the border. She wants to seize public property. She doesn't want she doesn't want private ownership of property. Now, you're telling me
a single member of Congress doesn't make those decisions.
Mayor of New York City.
I just cut my grass, so a little bit of rain ain't gonna hurt.
This does not seem so over the top that it's going to destroy your party. I think she, Mamdani, AOC, Bernie, Pocahontas, Mamdani, I think you guys are destroying your party. So I guess I'm okay with it.
Sean, first of all, Bernie Sanders is at this moment the most popular political figure in America. A
What?
lot of people who voted for Donald Trump would very comfortably would vote for Bernie Sanders too, because they want to see someone who's going to address the fact that their families are not doing well enough,
Going to the bar,
and their kids don't have enough future economically.
About 42 minutes out.
Has not given an answer. The war in Iran made things worse for our economy, made things worse for people trying to pay the bills at the kitchen table. So now you have a group of Democrats who say, we don't accept the status quo. We don't accept the big corporate donations. We don't want to go to the fancy cocktail parties. But we want to be a different Democratic Party. And wait. That's a Democratic Party that can actually win. I said last year,
So you're saying
talking about affordability, and that's actually how Democrats will win, because that's what Democrats are supposed to have been about.
A Democratic Party that wants to completely abolish the police, that wants to abolish American borders. Hold on. That's what she stands for, and you said you vote for her. She doesn't want anybody deported. She doesn't want anybody deported. She wants to seize the means of production and private property.
You can do this thing, my friend. You can do your list, but I want to bring you back to reality. If I did a list on Donald Trump, in 2016 or 2024, every outrageous thing he called for, every outrageous thing he'd ever said, you'd say, this guy could never be president. But what he managed to do, to his credit, what he managed to do was say to people he was going to make fundamental change. The tables have turned, Sean. Now the American people want fundamental change from Donald Trump.
Okay, that's what I was wanting. I just asked Bill that. He didn't answer me. Oh, that sounds gross.
Democrats are looking at people actually.
Yeah, I like it as like a dip with pita chips. That's good, but I don't like ground bologna sandwiches.
You have yet to give me one item on Donald Trump's list. I keep telling you she wants to abolish the borders. She wants to abolish prisons. She would allow convicted murderers and rapists to stay in the country that are here illegally, and you vote for her. That is madness.
Listen,
that is
when I say Donald Trump's list, what in 2016 when he ran for president, he said things that were overtly derogatory and divisive about different communities in this country.
Give me something on the list. You haven't named one thing. Give me one thing on the list.
Hold on. He has denigrated our democratic institutions. He's taken us into a
Give me
war
one
that people don't want. You go down. No, abolish police. I'm only saying to you, if you went through the list of every outrageous thing Donald Trump's ever said or done, all the corruption he's now personally benefiting from his family, you say, how on earth did this guy get elected anything? But the reality is people are not looking at those things. They're looking at who they think will actually change the status quo that doesn't work for middle class and working class Americans. I'm going to make a prediction that Democrats are actually on to something.
Okay, let me make a prediction. City, and New York City may go hard left, and places like Colorado may go hard left, and Washington State, and California, and New Jersey, and Illinois. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If you're looking for independents to vote for a platform that says the borders are open, we'll have no police, defund, dismantle, we'll take away private property. If you think that's the winning formula, good luck. That's not the platform. That's not the platform. Look at Mamdani. This is why Trump. This is why Trump gets along with Mamdani. Because he saw that Mamdani talked about. They don't get along. That's all. He talked about the. I don't believe. Wait. I believe Trump saw that Mamdani was onto something. And what Mamdani talks about, not all those other things you say. He's talking about
Blasio's lost his shit.
Being able to afford to get on a bus, being able to afford childcare.
I like it with just onion and mustard and cheese.
The point is, that's what Democrats are going to run on. If they have any sense, and I think we are getting finally some sense as a party, we're not going to be the party of the status quo. We're going to be a party that talks about real economic change and what people need at the kitchen table.
Are you going to be the party that's anti-Semitic? Are you going to be the party that's absolutely not Israel?
Let me tell you, John, I've worked very closely with the Jewish community in the most Jewish city on earth for years. I agree with you. I believe I abhor. You're not Illuminati, I'll tell you that. I abhor anti-Semitism. I also abhor what Netanyahu has done to the Palestinian people. And by the way, there's a huge percentage of Jewish people in New York City who feel the same way. So it's not, I mean, the American people believe what the Israeli government has done is wrong. And they don't believe we should be sorry. So you don't have to, you could be someone who believes in respecting all religions and faiths and ethnicities, but still say what that Israeli government has done is wrong. Here's something that's even more dangerous for your party, and you could take this for what it's worth. It's coming from me. You probably won't believe me. The fact that people like Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries are supposed to be leaders in your party won't stand up to this radicalism is going to destroy your party. And I'll say this midterm election, all bets are off because these are uncharted waters.
They do.
Because of Graham Plattner, Tallarico, El Sayed. Who
they don't really have much of a baking mechanism there right now. They got air fryer and
no police will hurt your party. No
2 baskets and a flat iron.
All of this take private property will hurt your party. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, come back the day after Election Day and tell me I was wrong. John, you are a student of history. The times we're living in now bear a striking resemblance to what our country was going through in the 1930s. It's not as dramatic as the Great Depression. But what is true is American families are hurting. You know it. They're hurting financially, economically, across the board. There's very few people who feel secure. In that environment, people are looking for stronger voices. The things you just said were said about Franklin Roosevelt. And you know what? Franklin Roosevelt, he gave us a country that worked, and you have to understand the
burgers and everything else we make.
And why Mamdani docks a guy like Ken Griffin, who was going to spend $6 billion in New York on business and chase them out of the city of New York. How stupid is that? Wait, this is another great example. The average, listen, a lot of your viewers, the average American, the average Republican, the average independent voter believes the rich are not paying their fair share of taxes. What Mamdani was saying is, how can a guy have a condo worth over $100 million? How can one individual have that?
Why? Because he earned it.
Taxes. Most Americans agree with the taxes. He pays taxes in New York, but he does not pay his fair share of taxes. Now he's going to spend $6 billion in Florida. All right, I know a lot of you want to respond to that. We'll do that in our final hour coming up, 800-941-SEAN, if you want to be a part of the program. But it shows me that the entire party now is being co-opted by the left. And this is why Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they're like, politically, you know, they're not going to be in power much longer. They're done. They're finished. They will be voted out. Look, it's no secret that some people still struggling financially. I know the economic news is getting better. Gas prices coming down. The job numbers, the best for 6 consecutive years. That came out earlier today. But if you are struggling and even putting bare necessities on credit cards, high interest credit cards, there is a way out. And that's where our friends at American Financing come in. Now, they have created, if you're a homeowner, what's called the Smart Equity Loan. Now, you get a free, no obligation, no pressure consultation. Give them a call. There's no upfront fee to find out if you qualify. It's 866-615-9200, 866-615-9200, or check them out on the web, americanfinancing.net/Hannity.
NMLS 122334, NMLS Consumer Access Org, APR for rates in the 5-star at 6.327% for well-qualified borrowers. Call 866-615-9200 for details about credit costs and terms, or visit americanfinancing.net/Hannity. Average savings based on borrowers receive $199.99.
I think my truck did an update while I was sitting there out of my settings.
God bless America. Happy birthday, America, from all of us here at the Sean Hannity Show. In a world drowning in AI everything, where your news feeds and shows get faked and filtered, there's still one place showing real stories, real moments, live. Reels Plus, home to America's #1 cable entertainment program, On Patrol Live, capturing police in real time across the U.S., plus thousands of hours of true crime, policing, and celebrity stories. So escape the fake and choose what's real. Subscribe now for just $4.99 per month and get a free 7-day trial at ReelsPlus.com. That's Reels with a Z, or anywhere you get your streaming apps. If you have a 2, 3, or 4% mortgage rate, don't refinance it. You don't have to, but you can still get cash out of your home. Introducing Loan Pronto's zero-cost equity loan. Get all the cash you need without touching your first mortgage and without any fees. One local homeowner just got $100,000.
Oh yeah, he's got lots of them.
Paid off their existing HELOC,
In fact, I gotta
settle
settle him down quite often. He's got so many.
no hard credit pull up front, usually no appraisal, no long drawn out process, and listen, no closing costs. You may even be able to skip your next 2 house payments. Loan Pronto, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call Loan Pronto now. 855 the number 2 Pronto. Leave your low rate mortgage intact to get the cash you need in as little as 2 weeks without paying closing costs. LoanPronto.com. See how much you can get right now. 855-2-PRONTO, 855-2-PRONTO. For qualified homeowners, equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLS ConsumerAccess.org. Now is the time to visit Pinehurst Resort. The cradle of American golf, Pinehurst is more than fate number 2 and thinker site of the U.S. Open. It is Tom Doak's masterful number 10. For historic hotels and the newly built luxury cottages at Pinehurst number 8. For one-of-a-kind Titleist shops at Pinehurst and the new Pierre Millar shop. A trio of dynamic dining experiences in Station 21, Plate, and the newly opened Wirecrest. Pinehurst blends timeless charm with the
Yeah, I just have to tell him to take a deep breath once in a while.
to plan your stay. You've probably heard all those ads for life insurance. Just a few dollars a day, apply online in minutes, no medical exam. Simple, easy, and cheap, right? Now you're thinking, maybe I should get a quote. Well, smart thinking. Everyone should have life insurance. But here's what they don't tell you. Those few dollars a day rates, they're for young people in perfect health. That's why everyone calls Big Lou the 50 to 60-year-old not so perfect candidate. Like you. You take prescription meds, you're overweight, winner, fried chicken dinner. Well, Big Lou works with life insurance companies that want people like you with no surprises after you apply. In fact, if you're a 50-year-old guy with a few health glitches, Lou could probably find you $1 million of term life coverage for about $200 a month. So yeah, you need life insurance, but unless you're young and healthy, you gotta call Big Lou because he's like you, older, heavier, and on meds too. Get a quote right now at 800-244-0909, 800-244-0909, or biglou.com. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Larry Elder here. These words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. What is hard to pursue happiness when pain is part of everyday life? Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, and just good old daily living. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula that works through multiple metabolic pathways to support comfort and mobility. No prescription, no masking symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. I take Relief Factor every single day and I've done so for years. I don't want my pain to come back. As America celebrates 200 years of independence, give yourself
We're thinking about it. It's, I think just the little one that I'm doing for my channel is going to keep us pretty busy, but I agree.
Your 1776 3-week quick start is ready for you. Relief Factor, because freedom just feels better.
Not a horrible idea.
Visit ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com, or call 800-4-RELIEF. 800-4-RELIEF. St. Louis, channel 125, and on the Sirius XM app. Clyde then went over to the swings. Another mother strikes up a conversation. You take your eye off your daughter for just a few seconds. You look back at the swings, and she's gone. Your heart drops into your stomach. You jump up, your eyes searching. You cry out her name. Lily? Lily? From the top of the slide, you hear a voice. Mommy, that's me! Every parent knows that feeling. Imagine if she were actually abducted. Go to wirelessamber.org. Sign up for free Amber Alerts on your cell phone. When an Amber Alert is issued in the areas you've chosen, you'll receive a free text message. If you spot the vehicle, the suspect, or the child described in the alert, call 911. Sign up today at wirelessamber.org. A child is calling for help. This message brought to you by the Wireless Foundation, the U.S. Department of Justice, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the Ad Council.
talk to Ned Ryan, CEO of American Majority and director of the new documentary, The Thread of Liberty. You don't see many documentaries that actually educate you, inform you. I like this one. We'll learn more about it on the other side. Then we'll get your calls coming up, 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of the program. We got a great Hannity tonight, 9 Eastern on Fox. Quick break and your calls coming up straight ahead as we continue. This is the best of the Sean Hannity Show. Don't forget, stay tuned for more right after the latest news right here on this radio station. Hey, here's the hard truth. Numbers do not lie. They might make you uncomfortable, but they don't lie. We've tracked the price of the S&P 500, gold and silver, over the last 5 years. Now, between January 2022, May 2026, and the peaks and valleys, the results are staggering. Now, the S&P is up a whopping 45%. Gold is up 110%. Silver up a staggering quarter, 15%. So the question is, are you holding all the right assets? You need a diversified portfolio. Now, this is where it is literally paid to be diversified, and that's why I want you to check out my partners at Goldco. They're offering my audience you a free gold and silver kit. They want to show you the ropes.
Looks like we got a little bit of rain out here.
Gold and silver.
What's bust on the road there? Is
For an extra 10% bonus in free gold or silver just for getting started. Call now, 855-815-GOLD, 855-815-GOLD, 855-815.
Well, I hope I have it. I hope I'm worthy of it.
They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that.
It's basically my retirement, so
TRA is here to tell you that if you
the beginning of my retirement investment, our goal is to have a few of them within 5 years. So one step after another.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-4181.
See how bad traffic is.
That's 800-575-4181. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
For golf course operators, peak season is about executing under pressure, long days, full teaching.
Trying to adjust something.
Golfers to serve. When the stakes are high, your software can't come up short. That's why many of the world's top facilities trust
Engage.
teaching, POS, payments, reporting, automation, and more. Lightspeed helps teams save time, drive revenue, and deliver amazing service. Because when pressure peaks, performance is everything. Lightspeed, built for pressure. Visit lightspeedhq.com/golf to learn more.
As a business owner, you know what it's like. Payroll's Friday, rent's due, that big order just landed and you don't have the cash to fill it. Forget waiting on the bank. Switch Funding can get you working capital of $10,000 to $5 million in as little as 24 hours. Low credit score? No problem. We look at your business, not just a number. Been in business over 1 year? Bringing in at least $40,000 a month? Switch Funding can get you the cash you need fast. Apply now. SwitchFunding.com. That's SWISH Funding.com.
And under our leadership, the forgotten men and women will be forgotten no longer. With your help, your love, and your vote, we will put America first, and we will make America great again. Let's never get old. Celebrating America 250 Patreon.
News is how from town hall a dangerous heat dome is giving way to powerful storms and flooding concerns. Correspondent Ken Lorman reports.
After days of dangerous, record-breaking heat across the East Coast, Southeast, and Southwest, officials are reporting a rising death toll and saying many victims were found in homes without air conditioning. The storms left nearly 1 million customers across several states without power and raised the threat of flash flooding as scorching temperatures give way to the threat of powerful storms, widespread outages, and flooding concerns. Ken Lorman reporting.
While ringing the opening bell for the New York Stock Exchange, President Trump was extolling his new Trump accounts, where his administration deposited one-time seed contributions, $1,000 each, into the Trump accounts of over 500,000 American children.
Children that are born without money, without any money. Like parents, they can have everything, can be good, but they have no money. They can become very wealthy.
Probably.
And they can flip it over, or their people can flip it over into other vehicles at a certain age so that they don't take it out. I would recommend they probably don't take it out, but they can have a lot of money, especially if the market continues.
A 5-day preliminary hearing for the man accused of killing conservative activist Charlie Kirk is underway in Utah. Prosecutors are seeking to convince a state judge that they have enough evidence against 23-year-old Tyler Robinson to proceed.
Updates and keep our eye on exactly who's testifying. As we know, we'll learn more about a preliminary hearing, what the standards are, and we'll see exactly what happened today. Then we got some big Graham Plattner news. You might say that Graham Plattner is screwed or did some of that bad activity feeling very Eric Swalwell-y and may be done and out of the race. He's got even people in his own Discord chat who were explaining it's time for him to call it quits because of the allegations here, which just dropped from Politico. Apparently, he's canceled a bunch of campaign events, and it might be the end of the road for him. Now, there's still time for the Democrats to swap.
Yo, dude, speed limit 70.
He had a lot of energy behind him from the main left-wing base of the party, and so that may be coming to a close. So, another horrific story. We've got that to talk about, and then of course we'll hear from you. It's a beautiful Monday. It's the matter to show what the evidence that's being presented ultimately says, and see if we can help make sense of exactly what's going down. So we're very glad that you're here and with us. Thank you for joining and subscribing and all the things. Let's make sure that
it would depend on how many animals we had at that time, at that point.
And
I'd like
you're
to.
not stuttering or dropping off. That's good news. So it's all underway right now, and so let's get into it, starting with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, Tyler Robinson, preliminary hearing underway as we speak. We've got a day one recap on the most substantive updates from testimony that was presented in court today. Now, of course, a preliminary hearing is not a trial. We're just establishing probable cause. And we'll explain more about what that entails, taking a look at the U.S. law in Utah. But here today, we had these two gentlemen testify. First guy was Chris Bagley, former UVU police officer. No longer there. He has moved on to a different branch. And he came and testified most of the day about all of the initial observations that occurred while he was there on scene when Charlie Kirk was murdered. We then will see what this guy had to say. His name is David Hull. Utah Department of Public Safety was the lead investigator on the case and has really connected the dots to show and to authenticate a lot of the video evidence which is being presented in court. And a lot of the exhibits are not available for public viewing. Now, the death videos of Charlie Kirk, I know many people have seen those, may he rest in peace, but they're not going to be presented to the public because of the brutality of those videos. But other exhibits are also not being shown at this moment. The defense is objecting to basically everything that's happening right now. All of those objections have been largely overruled, but we'll see exactly what went down today and see what the most substantive updates from both of these guys were. Now,
hopefully we get in a good place where I can get you out here for some
making her way into the courtroom. You see Fox News had some clips that they shared over here as the widow makes her way in as the victim to sit in court and listen to this brutal testimony. Here's what it looked like. All right, so tough day, obviously, all around, and so prayers up for the Kirk family and especially their kids. But here was the other incoming video of the Kirk parents, who we don't see a lot of, but they were in session today. Robert Kirk and Catherine Kirk, One America News, also got them heading into the courtroom, so it was a full house. Trump Jr. was there. We know many other content creators were there, and here's what it looked like when they were making their way in. Yeah, not a lot of audio, pretty somber entrances into the courtroom as you would expect. But we see the media was there just in full swing. Here's what it looked like outside the courtroom doors before they made their way inside. So lots of people there. Now, there was some reporting that inside the courtroom, that before things got underway, that Tyler Robinson, the alleged shooter, was seen laughing in court. This is being reported according to the Daily Mail, saying that Tyler Robinson was seen laughing. Erica was weeping just feet away, and that's horrible. Erica Kirk, dressed in all black, faced her husband's alleged murderer for the first time that we've seen here today. 5-day preliminary hearing getting underway, bursting into tears before the hearing even started, according to the Daily Mail's reporter who was inside the courtroom. She was accompanied by Charlie's parents, Robert and Catherine. Trump Jr. was there with his wife, the new wife, Bettina Anderson Trump. Robinson, however, was said to have been seen laughing with his lawyer, Kathy Nestor, who today was objecting
it was good.
repeatedly.
Very historically correct. I'm telling you what, Angel Studios is becoming what Disney used to be. You know, educational, you know, God-fearing stuff. I really like what they've been doing. Their production quality has improved dramatically too.
Shot and killed. Apparently,
there was a lot of big names in that movie too.
Left the courtroom, as you could understand, and so we'll also hear more about this clear line of sight. And we've got a diagram here that we created using the most recent powerful Fable AI, and this is mostly to scale, according to the program. But what we'll see here is exactly where the shooter was, where Charlie Kirk was, and break this down in further detail because there was a lot of testimony about it. But inside, we also saw testimony from the woman who was outside the courtroom right here, giving us a little preview of what was going on inside.
I am outside of the room. Slightly out of breath. There was a 15-minute break. I ran downstairs from the 4th floor to give you an update of what we have seen so far. The family members are all in the courtroom, have been in the courtroom until the last 15 minutes. As soon as the officer who was testifying mentioned that he saw Charlie, they stayed in the courtroom for that. But as soon as he mentioned that a shot was fired, Charlie's parents and his wife and family members stood up and walked out of the courtroom so they would not hear any of that graphic testimony. Remaining in the courtroom, though, is Donald Trump Jr., the president's son, is there with his wife, and several other people, including Jack Krasowiak, who were friends of Charlie Kirk, and also friends of Erica Kirk. Now, I apologize, I'm still slightly out of breath. I sprinted down here to the parking lot to give you updates as we're getting them. In the courtroom so far, if you've been listening, a lot of it has just been going over maps of campuses and the buildings on campus, trying to let people know exactly what buildings were there, who was watching them, trying to give a layout of the land. So we're headed back into the courtroom right now. I'll give you updates as we get them. I did speak to Donald Trump Jr. for a few minutes. I'll have more on that coming up in just a little bit. Headed back inside.
All right. And so they were apparently not allowed to bring in any devices or be tweeting from inside the courtroom. The judge said, we're live streaming it. You don't need to do any of that. And so we'll kick things off as soon as we learn exactly what the rules are in Utah. According to the state court's website, Rule 7B gives us the details about what happens at a preliminary hearing, which is what this is, not a trial. And at this stage, the state has the burden of proof and they present their evidence. It is resembling a trial. You have witnesses, the state has the burden of proof. And at the conclusion of the state's evidence, the defendant may testify under oath. They may call witnesses. They may present their own evidence. And the defendant may cross-examine the adverse witnesses according to the rules. Now, we're not trying to find a level of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. We're just trying to determine whether there was probable cause such that the charges can advance against the defendant and we can bind them over into pretrial proceedings and essentially bind them into trial. So if from the evidence, the judge, in this case, Judge Graff, if he finds probable cause to believe that the crime charged has been committed and that Tyler Robinson committed it, then he'll order that he's bound over for trial. And then we'll get more pretrial hearings and pretrial discovery and a bunch of additional proceedings, rather, that will continue forward as we advance towards a trial. Now, the findings of probable cause may be based in whole or in part on reliable hearsay, which is not generally admissible at trial unless you have something that is a hearsay exception or something that is qualified as not hearsay. Objections to evidence on the ground that it was acquired by unlawful means are not properly raised at the preliminary examination. So kind of a lesser standard of rule because we're not trying to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt just to determine probable cause. Now, if they do not find probable cause, then the judge the information by which he's been charged. He's not been charged by a grand jury indictment, which is generally the more common way that people are charged with felonies, especially murder cases, and discharge the defendant. So it's a big preliminary fight for Tyler Robinson. He may enter findings of fact and more. We don't have witnesses that testify, which we have. A prosecutor may
yes, they are. They're both in there. Mary Louise Parker is his mother, too.
Even through cross-examination, other testimony,
amongst other names,
is about the charges.
Kelsey Grammer
if the judge orders the
did
defendant
a great job. Both of them.
Which
Ben Kingsley did as well.
Thinking is going to happen. Then the judge must
I
bind over order and include
was doing an update and it jumped on my phone, so I'm trying to
thereafter the hearing. So that's the rule that we're going to be operating under. Here is how things kicked off with Judge Graff, and we've had a bunch of people clipping for us today. Gunther Eagleman is one of them, and in this opening, apologies for cutting recording.
All right, I'll turn it off. Second. It's drowning out my. All right, sorry about that.
Until the recess. All counsel are expected to take reasonable measures to safeguard confidential communication. Such measures may include the use of screen protections on electronic devices and care to avoid the inadvertent capture of privileged or private discussions by recording equipment or by those present in the courtroom. In addition, the microphones at your tables have been turned off. Again, to try to minimize the possibility of any of the communication being captured. I ask that if you are speaking, that you come to the lectern and that microphone will be live. And so that's the best way that we can hear you and it is captured on the record.
All right, so audio throughout is up and down depending on how close they are to the microphone. But there were questions about these exhibits. And so the defense came out early in the day and said, we don't want any of this evidence, any of these exhibits that are being presented to you and to the court judge who's going to make the probable cause finding to go out to the public. Here's what the defense had to say about this when it came up in court today.
Your Honor, if we could maybe not have it on the lectern screen, we're getting reports that the documents shown on the lectern screen are being live streamed. So maybe if we could just not show that one until it's admitted.
Mr. Remember, also going to the court judge. I've got copies of these for myself, but I can refer this to.
Nestor, go ahead and there should be a power button to turn it off. Thank you, Jeff.
They don't have steak.
Mr. Gernander, you do need to use the monitor. Let's revisit that, and obviously, it's necessary to renew your objection if needs be. But for now, the monitor's turned on. Let's go ahead and proceed.
All right, so the hearing gets underway, and there was another reporter who's inside the courtroom. His name is Brecken Fees, and he's a White House correspondent. He also works over for the Federalist, and he said that some of these exhibits may actually be coming out. And there was another bit of testimony today where the judge said something to that effect. He said there are really kind of three categories of exhibits. One, we're definitely not going to release them because they're gore and it's inappropriate. There's other levels that we absolutely can release, but we're not just going to release them now. And then there's kind of a middle category of stuff that we can fight over perhaps later after the exhibits are submitted into the judge, after the hearing's over, then we can go back and fight over that. So we'll see. I think that a lot of this stuff will ultimately come out, but we're just not getting it in real time as the hearing is underway. So here was one more starting point. So this is the first witness who testified today. His name is Chris Bagley, former UVU police officer. And just as a recap, if you remember, we talked about this case quite a bit, but there were three main components of the state's argument. One was circumstantial evidence about tying Robinson to the rifle and the casings. If we recall, this was...
They do have a very good Patty Mel.
...documents saying that they actually found bullets at his home that matched the bullets that were found on the scene. And there were etchings in the bullets. And the spent casing was also tied to the rifle. And so that was really major segment of evidence, part two. First one, of course, was surveillance video. We saw a lot of that from the FBI when they were still trying to find the guy. We also had the roommates who was saying that Tyler Robinson ultimately made confessions to him. We have parents who were also communicating with Tyler Robinson. We had Lance Twiggs, who will probably have some video evidence from. At some point in time, there was the family friend who went over. Dad called the family friend, who's former law enforcement, who helped to kind of talk things down and allegedly bring him back into the police station. And then we had DNA evidence. And you remember that the rifle ammunition rounds,
part of what makes a Patty Mel.
From the information, they were sent in. Rifle ammo, towel were sent in for forensic processing. DNA consistent with
like either some real mayonnaise on the side or like a garlic aioli
cartridge casing,
to dunk it in.
Oh,
it's so good.
And the towel. So all of that was DNA evidence. And so those are, I think, the main buckets that we're talking about at this moment by the state. The defense right now was really fighting to get a continuance. They were trying to postpone this thing as long as possible. But we haven't seen exactly what their defense is quite yet. And they're probably going to hold these cards close to the chest. But one thesis would be that they want to just save the life. This is a capital case. They're asking for the death penalty. So in other words, you can find him guilty, but say that there was some other justification that doesn't warrant the death penalty. So
aioli is
win the life is the concept.
Majority of aioli is mayo. So
to say that there was a forensic
creamier one,
that the evidence just doesn't hold up. We saw that there was the report about the bullet and the fragment saying that it was essentially inconclusive. There was a whole scandal that occurred before we got here where they were explaining that the media kind of went hog wild. They read the ballistics report incorrectly. They said that the bullet does not match the gun, which is not what it said at all. In fact, the bullet, they just said, was ultimately inconclusive. At one point right here, the bullet was inconclusive. The Exhibit 6A bullet jacket fragment could not be identified or excluded as having been fired from the Exhibit 1 rifle based on the agreement of all discernible class characteristics and neither sufficient agreement nor sufficient disagreement of the individual characteristics. So the conclusion was inconclusive. But the media came out and they said it did not match, and that kicked off this whole back and forth. The prosecution was held in contempt for responding to that.
All right, I am going to.
We've had a battle over the ballistics, and so if that
collapses
further, if there's some other evidence that comes out later that it
3 hours now.
did not match,
right.
and there's DNA on the rifle.
I'm going to go ahead and join them in the stream over there.
That could be a forensic collapse.
So I'm not delayed when I get stopped.
Forced to do it by someone else that would kind of mitigate the intent behind it. Maybe that would justify eliminating the death penalty. Some third-party intervener. We've also seen other Discord chats and some other online X posts that people were saying, Charlie better not come to this thing before this date on 9/10. Better not come to UVU. Something bad's going to happen. So who were those people? Were those some third parties? Are there any other procedural mistakes or violations that they could take advantage of, which they tried to do when...
Yep. Let them know I sent you. I haven't confirmed it yet. Wait till I get a little closer. I've just got it all loaded up. I'm going to be streaming Govea, so
and said,
or
well,
reading him.
What the report said was this, and we think we've got a strong case and a lot of evidence against Tyler Robinson. Then the defense came and they said, oh, foul, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to say that. There's protective orders that are out there that prohibit you from doing that. And since you did comment on the case and the evidence of the case, now you should be sanctioned and we should get a benefit and try to win that way. You could see, I'm not saying any of this is going to happen, but these are just some ideas that we jotted down. What about corruption, tampering, chain of custody problems? We get some evidence that comes out later that a cop
did
something that was
I'm going to go ahead and send it over now.
Malfeasance.
Peace, brother.
By saying when he first was there, he cleared the scene, and this is how the testimony went down from the first officer who was at UVU as a UVU police officer. He's no longer there anymore. He's now moved on to a different agency, but here's what he said in one of the most substantive bits of his testimony, which was most of the day thus far.
He was answering a question, kid asking him a question, and then I heard a shot fired.
Do you know what time that was?
Yes.
What time was that?
12:23.
What did you see?
At that moment, I saw him lean to the left. So
when you say him, who's
Charlie?